Welcome to Danctuary.
Okay.
So I fucked up in the intro and we didn't get Riker's voice, unfortunately, so I had to do it in impro. I'm sorry, everyone. But hello and welcome.
I didn't hear any difference.
Really?
Yeah,
oh my god, dude.
It was perfect.
Yeah, I misclicked and production mistakes happen. I'm sorry, everyone.
That's all right. Well, we're starting off with a bang. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Danctuary Podcast Episode 7, where we are going to talk about Season 22, Leveling, a brand new site and resource that's came out today, and our goals for the next season. I am with a star-studded cast with Mr. sVr, Mr. Leviathan, FilthyCasual, and Wudijo. How you guys all doing today?
Yeah, good. Yeah, the hype is starting to build.
Right. Anticipation for Friday. Ooh,
yes.
Big plans, big grind, big blast, right?
Hopefully. 2 more nights.
Come again?
Yeah,
what did you say?
We're going to be. What did you say, Woody?
2 more nights. Yes.
Two more sleeps.
2 more sleeps, exactly. That's what the little ones say, right?
Yeah.
So, just a reminder, the Season 22 start date is on Friday, November 20th. That'll be 5 p.m. for people over on the EU side, and it'll be 8 p.m. Eastern over on the NA side. And it looks like Adam over at Blizzard has just updated his tweet with the time, so that way everybody knows. So let's jump right into it. The very first topic is we have a brand new resource available for the Diablo 3 community. And I'm going to turn it over to Mr. sVr to walk us through it and show us what we have here. Take it away, Matt.
Yeah, so a couple of you might have noticed since Sunday or so, if you go to d3planet.com, for instance, you actually end up at maxroll.gg. Full disclaimer, 3 people in this podcast are part of maxroll.gg, so just to be clear here, there is some entanglement and some conflict of interest, I guess, right? So Rex and Woody are also within maxroll.gg, same as I am. It's a kind of like a community website for guides. You'll find mostly build guides in there and any like one-stop kind of shop information with everything about Diablo. At least that's kind of the goal. I'll not take too much time in like visually going through it. Essentially, the idea is the main part is obviously guides, describing mechanics of a guide, how a guide works, what you need to play it, and what you can expect from the build. Then the next section is something that is commonly known as tier lists, right? This is something that mostly Riker is covering for Maxroll, but everybody is contributing and creating them. So we have a pool of content creators that just, attempt to figure out what is the true tier list in the long run of a season, where essentially what we do is we take the guides that we wrote and rewrite them in tier lists. And the last thing is meta, where we take 4 build guides together of 3 and we attempt to mix them together to define a meta. This is essentially it. What Maxroll provides you with information. There's also resources with like mechanics that hopefully never change, so we don't have to rewrite them at any point. So this is like kind of static information. And then there's the free planner, obviously, and ranks. And that is it about Maxroll. This has been in the works for quite some time. We were very thrilled that we were finally able to present it. We've had some major feedback so far. Anything is up for discussion at this point, so please contact us on Discord, whisper our content creators. Feel free to say anything in terms of feedback. We're definitely listening, and we're open to do some fast-paced and quick changes. Now, the first question I have to Filthy and Leviathan is, now you've seen this project for the very first time on Sunday. How did you guys feel? What was like your very first impression? Filthy, you want to start on this one?
Yeah, Poggers, man. It's a really good resource. The guides, just so much info, just like so much there. Just couldn't believe it. Just loads. Really, really good. Really good.
Is there anything that stood out to you in particular? Anything that you disliked?
No. It's all good, man. All good. All gravy.
Yeah. What about you, Steven?
Seems good. Give it the thumbs up. It's always good to have more resources for players, and especially if it brings a bunch of different things together. I don't see how it could be bad.
Rex, Woody, what was your feeling about the launch? The launch day?
Yeah, it was amazing to finally see this released, see this published, and having all the people come in, and we were also streaming, and there's so many people checking it out simultaneously, and lots of good feedback. So I'm quite happy with how it went, and I hope this is gonna help everyone to find the resources they need, find the guides they want, and just enjoy the content.
Yeah, the first question I had was, can I finally get some sleep now?
Yes,
'Cause-
there's been a lot of grinds, especially the final phase.
Yeah,
Team
true.
has been crunching hard, really
last
really
weeks.
hard. Yeah.
Yeah, but I really, it was a cool opportunity to really get to know other people on the team. I got a lot closer to North War and Woody and sVr and Alex, and there's a lot of people there, Rob and all the people on there, and there's a lot of talented people in all the meetings that we had and deciding everything, and the peer review system. It's like North War was really good about coming in and showing me how bad I am at writing a guide. It's like, all right, let me go.
He's
let me go
ruthless.
fix
I
these-
love it. He's ruthless.
But he makes everyone feel that way, so
I think he even makes himself feel that way when he writes the guide, and he gives himself a review. Yeah.
He did such an amazing job. So did everybody else. So yeah, I was really happy to show it to everybody, and actually the community was very helpful right in the beginning, right? Because right away I got like 5 PMs. Yo, Rax, you didn't put Wan Kim Lao on Tempest Rush Monk, lol. What's wrong with you? It's like, okay, I don't know how that happened. So it was a good quality control from the public right away as well. But interested to get the feedback from them. All right. Anything else on Maxroll? Otherwise, we're going to jump into kind of a fun little topic here. And that is, what is your pre-season ritual? So just want you to take me through, leading up to it. What are some things that you guys look at or study? Do you guys look at some guides or some resources, the patch notes? What foods and drinks do you guys stock up on? What's like your fuel? Do you take time off of work? Do you lose a ton of sleep? Maybe we can start with Leviathan. Take us through your ritual and how does it all go?
So the week leading up is always really fun because it's almost combating between wanting to rest and kind of save up that spirit bomb of energy for the weekend. Gather it all, get those beams coming in. But at the same time, it's, especially for content creators, like a flurry because you want to get guides out. You're trying to find that sweet spot timing of, have I released it too early, or like it will be too late? You want everyone to kind of find what you need them to find to be as useful as possible for that opening weekend, because it's such a concentrated amount of eyes right at that beginning. So what I like to do usually is have a little bit of time that I'm still streaming, just to stay in touch with everybody, let people know that stuff is coming, but still also in the background and kind of dedicating some time to like either make videos or even do my own planning. I have my own separate guides for myself that I hide because I want to get those rank 1 conquests done. So you got to keep a couple secrets.
Secrets.
I
I wonder he wasn't, and this is why he wasn't involved in Maxroll GG.
They would have let me in, man. They were like, no, share. I was like, you got to subscribe to Snapchat. What's going on? My OnlyFans. But no, in all seriousness, I definitely love like this. It's almost like the night before Christmas, but for like 5 days. Just like you guys said, a couple more sleeps. And one big thing for me that's almost superstitious is I have to get snacks, and the 3 mainstays have been 4 monsters, 2 Red Bulls, and a bag of pretzels. I don't know why,
awfully
but like,
specific.
it's so weird. Don't ask me how I came to those numbers.
Wait a minute. Wait.
I
What's
like
the time to consume
Yeah.
those 6?
Before 70.
All at once.
All at once.
I try to spread it out because if I'm gonna go for a 24-hour, which I'm getting old now, so I can't like consistently do that anymore, then I usually try maybe every 8 hours to have one of the monsters. But sometimes you gotta maybe double up, double fist, play with your chin, smash the space bar.
There's like one super interesting thing that you mentioned, which is like this slight dilemma for a content creator. that he wants to really like push out content and guides and also playtest new features right after patch. But you also want to protect like this flame inside of you, right, that burns to play, and you really want to protect it such that you can, it doesn't like die out and you don't burn out before season start, right? And like, how do you guys balance that one? Like for me, it's usually, you know what, it's like 1 or 2 weeks before season start, I will not play whatsoever. Like like for me, the burnout on after the first like 4 or 5 days is so fast, and I'm like a very strongly burning flame, but it like diminishes very quickly in Diablo 3. So I really try to pace myself before a season start and to really try to not play at all. How do you guys manage with that one? Is that also something you do?
I keep playing. Yeah, I keep playing. Keep handing. But like everybody's different, aren't they? It's you've got to start the season with passion, haven't you? That's the key, really. So that's just it, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. For me, it's just keep blasting all the time, basically. I mean, I've been playing through the PTR the whole month. Essentially every night I was blasting PTR and tried like 50 different builds, and I don't know, for me I had like a little bit of a break, I guess, in the last 1 or 2 weeks, but in the end I'm just pumping out the YouTube right now, preparing more YouTube for after the season starts so I can keep my daily video schedule, and that's how it goes for me right now. So yeah, in terms
where do you find the energy?
Yeah, that's Woody.
I don't know. I drink water and sometimes I eat a banana.
It's like
what about cucumber?
Yeah, and of course,
cucumber.
I need to buy some cucumbers tomorrow, of course.
That's
so
interesting.
I have those ready.
The question is like, how's your season's prep looking like? And Woody answers, blasting harder.
Yeah, I'm gonna dial it up. Yeah, even more.
Yes, exactly.
Great, love it.
What about you, Ryan?
Yeah, one thing that really helps me is like you can kind of feel the energy in the community, right? It's like for me, I'm always playing. It's like, oh, I'm gonna go get this achievement. Okay, I killed Bashiok with Rock and Nishu's blade. Cool. Let me go on to the next one. But you can start to feel like the energy like ramping up on Twitter, on the different streams, on YouTube. Everyone's getting really excited, and believe it or not, I actually really feed off of that. So everyone getting excited around me is like a big motivator. But I'll agree with Matt. I don't do it, but I would love to do something else like the week before and not have to blast all the thousands of guides and videos and play Torchlight for a little bit and do something a little bit different to, kind of refuel the tank. But I've still been playing Diablo 3, so
I feel like I was going to say, I feel like you're doing that, though, because there's ways you can still stay in tune with the game, but not do things that... Because imagine, like, if you were to just be blasting 4-man for some godforsaken reason during non-seasonal, then you transition into, all right, we're going to build up to exactly that again on, like, hour 4 or 5 of the season. At least you're doing something a little off the beaten path, like... Something I see some people do, and I've done it myself too, is like rainbow goblin farming if you haven't gotten the cosmic wings yet, right? So at least you're playing the game still, but it's definitely different than anything you'll do in the season.
Yeah, and one thing, I mean, not to get like super weird and psychedelic on everybody, but when you play a game enough, or really when you do anything enough, like my whole like mentality toward Diablo kind of changes. It almost becomes like a haze or like a stupor. It's just like it's like you're just kind of going through the motions. And so exactly what you said, when you do something different, like, oh, I'm rainbow goblin farming on a dashing strike monk, that is enough of a paradigm shift where it's like, okay, this actually does feel different for me as a content creator rather than blasting 128 rats in 2 minutes and don't spend your blood shards because that's an XP loss. Next key, let's go. We don't have time to identify our items. So, but I'm not going to let you guys off the hook on this. I really am curious what you guys eat and drink. So it's cucumbers for Woody and water, and it's monsters and Red Bull and pretzels for Leviathan. But what about Filthy and Matt? What do you guys fueling up on, or do you even do anything out of the ordinary?
I was going to do pizza, I was going to do doner kebab, but doner kebab pizza because it's new in the UK and Domino's. But chat told me it was disgusting. So
What?
I don't know. Pizza topping suggestions, please. Give me something.
Wow.
Can't go wrong with pepperoni or bacon.
Yeah, pepperoni.
Solid, man. No pineapple.
No
We'll be
pineapple.
fine.
Oh, wait.
Uh-oh.
Whoa.
It's triggered instantly.
No pineapple.
Trigger
pizza.
warning.
Uh-oh.
This could be a 3-hour podcast purely on pineapple on pizza.
Is that what we're doing? I thought this was a pizza tier list podcast.
So hold on.
We'll
Leviathan,
put this on Maxroll as well, just saying. So let's go.
What do you say on pineapple on pizza? Leviathan, what do you say?
All right. So my position is slightly nuanced. I will never buy it, but I will never turn it down if offered.
I like that. Yeah, I like that.
Does that apply to like any pizza? Like, is that just a love of pizza itself, or?
Damn it! I was hoping you wouldn't go that far. Yeah, it's not even really about the pineapple. I can't say no to pizza.
I see. Well,
It's
you'd
a
have
life policy.
You'd
Good
have
life
to
policy.
pay me, even though I don't look like it, but you'd have to pay me for me to eat Hawaiian pizza or so.
Really?
Pizza with pineapple.
There we
I
go.
could just-
Pizza.
Wah.
Okay, what about Woody?
I like it, so I'll take it.
And
Not
so
always, but it's definitely something that I enjoy.
Okay, and I've never had it, so
What?
Pizza or pineapple?
What?
well, no, I've eaten I've eaten more pizza in my life than any human should, but I've never had pineapple on pizza. But I like pineapple, and I'm
How did you
open-minded.
get around it all the time?
I don't know.
I
I
mean,
don't know
they're
how I
everywhere.
dodged it all these years. All right. Anything else on the preseason ritual, guys? Any other cool little rituals that you guys have before we get into the meat of this podcast?
Sometimes I like to watch my old clears again.
So
it's
For some
like
inspiration.
this is like another thing that I do. Yeah. So it's just for nostalgia. But yeah. I mean,
Like
I have
so-
it there right on video, so why not?
How far are you going back? Like season 1, 2 stuff, or is it like last season stuff? Like, what clears are you watching then?
Well, I mean, right now I don't have that many on my YouTube, but
Pepper hands.
those that I have basically. So I enjoy those, especially the 150. I probably like the God the Age. That was really fun.
Mm.
So
So you do
watch
it
that
to
one.
get hyped up, I guess, right? To
Yeah, exactly.
appetizers.
I do something similar too. Like for the past few pre-seasons, like on Thursday night, I'll start a rerun on my Twitch stream of just past seasonal levelings. I can put a little playlist together, and it's really fun because you only allowed, I think, a 24-hour amount of stuff you can put in a rerun. So I have to keep taking old ones out, right? So now it goes back to like season 10. But it's so crazy to see, like, all right, these were the strats from season 10, and by the time it like transforms into season like 15, 16. You're seeing the times come way down. You're seeing the strats just get more and more refined. Some of them are now starting to be like solo season starts and stuff. So it's nice reminders of like, oh yeah, I did used to do that, and then oh, I forgot I should do that. And also just cool to see how the game has evolved over time.
I usually just try to pre-sleep, have a good sleep, sleep a lot, and like the most dangerous part for me usually on a season start is like desyncing the sleep schedule. So after like 1 week of blasting, you go back to work and you try to wake up at 6:30 a.m. and then it's like, wow, I'm dead.
So brutal.
Trying to pre-sleep enough so after the first night I don't need so much sleep so I can wake up early in the morning again and keep a consistent schedule is really important for me.
You did bring up a good point though. How do you deal with work? Because I work full time too, and the first weekend I try to go hard and just accept the fact that I'm going to be dead on Monday, so I don't really take time off. But I guess you take time for maybe that first week.
Yes, I did. Like not
Nice.
every season start, really depends about the patch, how good Wizard is looking, usually, and obviously also if I get a very committed group that can do a similar thing, right, of friends. Like, that's very important to me. And then, I'm definitely, like, I mean, during Corona lockdown, right? Like, we expect another lockdown next Monday in Germany, like a full lockdown. Likely, we'll see. But what else is there to do, really, right? This is like 2020 being a reasonable grown-up sitting at home and playing computer games, right? It's like...
You're the gamers.
Yes.
You're lucky. Yeah.
Exactly.
So on that point, one thing that I can never seem to do, and maybe it's just me. So I used to be in that ritual where, you know, you have to wake up and go to your job, and now this kind of is my job, right? So it's a little bit different. But when I was in that mode, I can make myself wake up and chug a Red Bull and go back to work. But one thing I can never seem to do, like the plan is, as sVr said, is to sleep like all day Thursday, all day Friday up until the start, and wake up and blast. But I can't do it. Like I get up at my normal time. I'm like, sVr and Wudijo, I've started the season on EU. I gotta watch. What are they doing? Like I can't sleep. Like I don't know why. Do you guys have like, are you guys able to do that? How do you guys actually get rested? Because usually when I start the stream, I actually have less sleep than on a normal day. Because I'm like, ee! And yeah, I've never been able to solve it.
So usually I go to Twitch, open a Diablo category, pick the first Demon Hunter streamer, and I fall asleep.
Oh, come on.
That always works for me. It's
Woody
no
and
matter,
Leviathan are triggered instantly.
SVR is leveling dangerously here.
No, so yeah, I totally get where you're coming from. I think tiring yourself out is very important, physically and mentally. So usually it's really, you know, I don't, like you can see, I don't work out too much, but for a season start, I usually try to really tire myself out both physically and mentally, and then I have like a really, really long sleep. I already take the Friday usually off, and then I sleep until like 10, 11 a.m., which is very, very long for me. I usually wake up at 6:30 a.m. in the morning, or 6:15. And that's about it. That's like 4 or 5 hours extra, and I can siphon off that for the first weekends. And then starting from Monday, I still try to normally wake up, and instead of going to my job and doing job stuff, I just blast.
The new job.
Sounds
and
nice,
new job.
actually.
Wow. When can we expect a YouTube guide on your exercise routine before the season starts?
Yeah, that would be no.
This is what the world needs. Put it on Maxwell. Okay.
It's like, you know, it's probably something I just like go up downstairs and upstairs like twice in my house here, and then I'm tired enough. See, that's the sad reality here.
Wait, how big is your house?
Yes.
Well, that's the question. Yeah.
Right. I'm not gonna continue here.
Up and down the steps twice, sleeps like a baby. Nice.
Perfect. So efficient. That's that German efficiency right there.
Sure.
Yeah, for me, it's basically just trying to get normal sleep for once. So maybe more than 5 hours as I had like the last weeks. But yeah, other than that, I don't know. Like by now, I've just grown used to having very little sleep because just the last months I've had, pretty much always like 5 hours maximum per night. So I kind of got accustomed to it, and I guess it's gonna keep continuing with this. So season starter might go lower, like the first nights or the first week, and it's gonna go like 3-4 hours, and then go to work and come back and blast and again.
All right, you didn't take vacation, right, Woody?
Yeah, I don't. No.
Right.
I will go to work on Monday. Yeah.
It's gonna be a
on
rough
Friday
schedule.
actually. So before the season starts, I will be at work, and then we're gonna blast until like Saturday. I don't know, morning sometime, right? And then short sleep and blast again. So
that's gonna be a hard schedule for you.
We're gonna need to locate some people in Woody's area in case he passes out on stream to rush and give him medical attention.
Feed him cucumbers.
I was gonna say, throw a few cucumber
Thank you for the
concern. Yeah, I'm with you, Rax. Like I try to plan out like, all right, I'm gonna sleep in a little bit more, especially with the work from home situation. I'm like, maybe I'll sneak an extra hour of sleep or something. But the hype, it really does start like when the EU boys get going, and it's so hard to ignore it. I'll usually try to sneak. How are you on napping? Because I'll try to sneak like a nap in, just maybe a power 30 minutes or something, and that can help. But even still, it's like at some point you're just going off the pure adrenaline and hoping it carries you.
Yeah, so I don't mean to brag, but I would say my nap game is pretty strong because I usually don't get sleep. So I think if I didn't take naps, I don't think I would be alive today. But the problem is in the last couple of months, with even the with the lack of sleep, there a lot of times wasn't even time for a nap. But yeah, no, there's a big plan for a nap on Friday if I can make it happen. That's and it makes a huge difference. I know some people some people take a nap for 20 minutes and they feel more tired than when they started, but not me. I'm like, it's like I just slept 8 hours. It's like, all right, let's go.
You know, guys, I just had an epiphany. It's like, I just realized it's like Wednesday evening, 9 p.m., and I'm sitting here and I'm discussing how to efficiently pre-nap to blast a computer game the entire weekend. It's like, that's kind of a weird discussion.
Wait, did you just see yourself for the first time?
Yes, I'm like, wow, this is what it has become. It's like, and we're taking
this is my life now.
Yeah, we're taking this discussion actually serious, and it's like, wow, this is how far I've gotten in life. Like, huh, interesting.
Don't think about it too hard.
Embrace the inner nerd, Matt.
Yes, embrace the inner nerd.
All right, so that was a good 30-minute discussion on napping techniques.
And workout.
And
the sVr workout video coming soon. Huh?
The merchandise is going to be the sVr Stairmaster on his Twitch. So let's jump into one of the main topics of our podcast now and talk a little bit about seasonal leveling. So just in case there's anybody brand new who may be watching the podcast and may not know the very basics of how to level up really fast, we will cover them very quickly. And that, of course, starts with the challenge rift. Now, as I understand it, you four can yell at me if I'm wrong. In order to complete the challenge rift, you have to complete a single greater rift ever. Just one greater rift. And in order to do that, I believe you have to complete the campaign. So you have to do the campaign, get a friend, kill Malthael. Then you have to go into adventure mode and do one greater rift, and you will have the challenge rift available to you on your seasonal character. The reason that you have to do the challenge rift is it gives you a little cash and it gives you some nice little rewards. And those rewards, those materials at the beginning, let you do a lot of tricky things. So the first thing on the challenge rift is North America and EU have different builds, and they are very, very different this time, which is probably something that we should discuss. So both of the builds are barbarian, and North America has a whirlwind barb. You hold right click, you hold whirlwind, and you just mow the lawn. It couldn't be easier. But the EU build is lawn thorns with stone gauntlets equipped with no immunity.
Oh,
that's great. Lovely build, yeah. And it has 5 useful skills on the bar as well that you can also with.
Oh my god, this feels like somebody planted it. Some NA guys played Barb last week all the time to get this picked. I think so too.
Yeah.
What?
You got him, boys.
This is to sabotage everyone on the EU.
So my first question is, and it sounds like some of you have seen it, and I know Woody has, so maybe we'll start with him. Did you try the EU Challenge Rift, and how did that go for you? How did it go for you, bro?
Well, I mean, I did because on Season Starter also always release a Challenge Rift guide. I mean, usually Rax does that, I know. Or everyone here does, I guess. But
get off my lawn, Woody.
I don't.
Yeah, so I tried it, and the difference is really, really strong, and especially for EU. I didn't have trouble, so I cleared it first try, or I went to the boss first try. I didn't kill the boss, and it was fine. Basically, you just need to make sure that you don't get slowed all the time and not waste your attacks. So you have Frenzy, and that's about the only skill that you want to click. There's no mobility. All the other skills are just worthless trash because you don't do any damage. Just Frenzy everything down and basically just one-shot stuff. It's not too bad if you are just going for the juicy enemies. But yeah, it is definitely quite close, quite tight on the timer because you have no mobility and you're slow. But yeah, I think if you try it once and to get to 90% and see the rift and see the layout or check out the guides, then you're gonna be fine anyway on EU.
Yeah, and we do get the shadow clones as well, don't we? So obviously the season theme will be on, so it will be a lot easier when we get through.
That's a super good point, Filthy. And yeah, so Woody, I would offer is obviously a top tier player, right? So it's going to be a lot easier for Woody than the average person. I think I think a lot of people kind of struggle on even kind of sort of the easy builds for some players, but this is definitely, in my opinion, going to be on the harder end of the spectrum. One thing that you can do, you can easily, Woody is completely right, you can throw away all the skills and just do Frenzy and just chop everything down. Especially when you click the power pylon, the avalanche and the earthquake will start to one-shot monsters for you, especially with the power pylon. So if you want to keep those and throw those around kind of as you're moving, that may help you as well. But yeah, so this was my thinking when I saw not just how bad the EU challenge rift was, but also kind of the stark contrast in the builds themselves. Is it seems like Blizzard kind of just has like this algorithm where it just randomly picks a build, right? And maybe it's not far from the truth, or maybe that's exactly what happened, what Matt said, where some NA guy went in there and planted it. I mean, that's not out of the realm of possibility.
I like this conspiracy. So.
Yeah.
I don't think it's really that hard to do, actually, because I don't think there's that many clears of, like the given time frame of, I don't know, let's say 1 or 2 weeks before.
On non-season?
On non-season. Okay. Yeah, exactly. So you have to see the conditions for that. It's non-season. It is something like tier 40 to 55 maximum, I believe, right? And then you need to have like a clear time of like between 5 and 7 minutes. So these are like the basic conditions of the challenge rift. So there are not that many clears for that. And it has to be a specific class too, because it's always a set rotation. Right. So I think if you actually have a few people doing that and doing some clears, you can have a very good chance of planting any challenge rift that you like.
All right. I'm calling it right now for season 23. Me and Woody will do like a big theory crafting session on what's the worst possible build to plant on NA, and we'll rally all our communities to invade the NA servers 1 week before.
I already have some of those in
starts.
the back of my head. For example, you can make a necromancer that doesn't have any skills to kill anything besides a corpse skill, and then you have to find like an environmental infector somewhere on floor 5 that kills something for you, so you get your first corpse. And then you can chain from there.
I also have a wizard build where you have no attacks and no nothing. Like you can't attack physically. And obviously you need to build ward thorns to make sure there's no way to kill monsters. And the only thing is the red sword shard get gem in your helmet. The random proc that kills stuff.
Like that. That's great.
Revenge. EU revenge.
The EU
I didn't realize
is
that
coming.
We were starting a global war here tonight, but...
I was going to say, it was November 18th on the Danctuary podcast that we have ended the entire concept of Challenge Rift starts on season. I mean, all
this is
those
the last
episode
of Danctuary. That was it.
So on that note, how do you guys feel about screening the Challenge Rifts, at least on the one?
Rex?
We've lost
the test? I think we lost Rex. At least
he's cut him off.
Frozen. Yeah, I cut him off.
We're not fixing the challenge rift.
Oh,
the first transgression of war.
So so let's play a game. What do you think? What did Rex want to say? Finish a sentence.
He wanted to ask us if Blizzard should take a look at a challenge rift that it's selected, I guess, and then maybe select another one if it's too bad.
At least for the first opening week, it seemed like.
Yeah, I don't really feel like this is. I mean, of course I can say it's easy and so on, but I don't think that this challenge rift is too hard that we have right now. And there has only really been one challenge rift that was notorious for being extremely difficult, and then maybe a few others that were a bit like cancerous. But it's usually not that bad if you try to put your mind to it and try to beat a challenge rift. Maybe look up the guide. I don't think they really have to do this, and they should rather look at other things, I think.
It was fine. I'd like it. The build obviously is designed terribly. That's fine, but it wasn't too bad. I managed to do it on first try. I'm definitely bang average at this game. But yeah, with the clones, that's a huge damage increase, isn't it? They'll clear away. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think ultimately there are always going to be some challenge rifts that are just inherently bad. I mean, a majority of them feel that way, but besides the Wudijo one, I feel like we haven't really seen too many challenge rifts that are just like not completable with some knowledge and some attempts, right? So I think at some point catering them, or what's the word, finagling them and hand selecting, it probably wouldn't be doable, just because there's human resources at play there, and I imagine they really do want it to remain an automated thing.
Yeah,
it is true.
I mean, the funny part about having these challenge rifts is also that everyone kind of remembers it as, okay, this was such a crappy challenge rift for the start, and it's kind of like a community experience as well. And as I said, as long as it's not too hard and it's like not uncompletable, then yeah, I mean, I don't really see a big issue. So
I agree.
I like that the challenge rifts sometimes are really wonky builds, because you never see anything like that, and you're like, oh, this actually exists. And most of the time they're not really pleasant to play because they're super slow and have stone gauntlets and no mobility skill. But some other builds are also quite intriguing, actually. So even though they're not good builds, but they can be quite fun in their own way, or at least they have like a theme. For example, recently I remember there was like a necromancer, for example, that had like all cold skills and everything was blue and white. And you saw that theme of this build. It wasn't a good build, but it was thematically perfect.
Yeah.
Like someone had an idea. Yeah.
Exactly. So there was still some thought behind us. And if you get something like this, that's also pretty cool, I think, sometimes.
So I reckon the player was going for stone gauntlets, because obviously they make you super tanky. And I'm just going to be hit. I'm just going to stand there and then reflect the thorns with the braces. I think that was the only thought process. I don't think there's no secondaries with it, no thorns.
I mean, you're completely invincible anyway in this GR40.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
crazy.
Hi guys, remember me?
Welcome back.
Guess who's back?
The second that I mentioned that we're gonna stock the challenge rifts for the next years, they came to disconnect my internet. Sorry about that, guys.
No worries, it happens.
So yeah, I heard you guys talking about screening the challenge rifts, and yeah, I agree with Woody. It's cool to see. I remember on a different podcast, somebody said that they thought, I think it was, I could be getting this wrong, but I think it was Dead Set who said it, where like the challenge rifts would have been an opportunity for Blizzard to showcase different builds, right, that aren't normally used, and like completely different themes. It would be really cool to see something like that. And yeah, my angle from trying to, I guess, defend these super poor challenge rifts at the start is to, help the casuals have a good start, because like to all the content creators, right, and just for not even just the content creators, for the health of the community, the worst thing that could happen is right on the very first step of your leveling journey, you're pissed off, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I got to do the challenge rift. Okay, I can't do it. Installing Path of Exile. It's like, season's over, boys.
Yes, exactly. I feel you. I think, it definitely can be an issue, but I'm not sure how much work it will take for them to actually manually screen builds. It's interesting. Do you guys actually, so just to slightly alternate the topic, do you guys remember when seasonal themes, I think it was the Ring of Royal Grandeur theme, that one, so after the first week of the season, right, we got a new challenge rift, and that one was actually picked from a season clear. And the person had a 6-piece equip, but he utilized the rock buff. But we didn't get the rock buff in challenge.
Yep.
It was like
remember that one?
Yeah.
So you get given a challenge rift where you didn't have the 6-piece multiplier, and it was straight up impossible. And people were ridiculously frustrated, and a lot of people just didn't understand what was really happening, right? So it was like impossible challenge rift, and the outrage was significant. It was outrageous. It was like everywhere on Twitch, everywhere on Reddit, in the forums.
Wait, what happened
everything.
there? What happened to challenge rift then? I didn't even notice.
Oh, they changed
a
it
new one
within a couple of hours. Yeah, they were super fast. Yes, they were super fast. They were like within 4 hours or so they changed it. But at that point, everything was already burning, right? YouTube videos were printed, newspapers were out, right? It was already too late, right?
So stock dropping.
Yes, stock dropping. Right? So it was at that point. From that point of view, it was already over. Now imagine this happens 1 week earlier. It's like, I don't even want to know, like, Blizzard stock goes negative. I'm not sure. Is that even possible? But that would be terrible. So on that hand, a bit of safety would be good. Could you guys imagine there could be a theme that when active, it breaks the challenge rift? So you actually, if we have a theme in the future and they forget that the theme will be active in the challenge rift on the very first evening.
Yeah, theoretically, there could be themes that, change the whole game in a significant way where you get the bonus and the malus. So, you have like some good effects, some bad effects, but overall the good effects will probably win out because it still has to entice people, I guess. But maybe a season theme would actually, change it so significantly that the challenge could become uncompletable because you're missing the progress, because there might be extra enemies, or you might have some other big buff, but you're losing some other thing. So I don't know. Yeah, theoretically, that can happen. Maybe it's a season, there's like something where, you're not supposed to have any sets and all the set bonuses are disabled, or, something like that. Yeah, it could be similar.
Could be really funny. Could be really funny.
Well, I mean, all of that could happen at the end of this season, right? When this season goes off, it could be some shenanigans with the 4th cube slot. Someone puts Echoing Fury in their weapon 1, and they put their actual only multiplier in the last, this Cesar's memento for a Tempest Rush Monk, and surprise, you don't do any damage.
That's actually pretty good, dude.
Or it could even be Ring of Royal Grandeur in the 4th cube slot.
That's really good, man.
Very likely gonna happen. Yeah,
that's really good. All right, we should invade NA. Let's go.
Oh my god!
But I mean, this will be the non-season challenge rift after the season. So
yes, exactly. That's the idea. It's
not a big deal then, but it's still funny.
Sure, it's definitely worse when something happens where it picks the non-season rift from the previous week. Season starts, and then you have the season theme. You're in a challenge rift, and then it entirely bricks, and there's nothing you can do. And the frustration, like I think us, right, the people in this podcast here, I guess it will take us some time to understand, shit, this is fundamentally bricked. But how many people will try for hours and hours and hours and hours, and they're like, what is this shit? It doesn't work. Blizzard, please fix. So I totally understand the frustration, and like during this discussion, I changed my opinion from manually screening bad to manually screening hell yeah.
and like, yeah, one thing that's never gonna fly right is you can't say, hey Blizzard, do all this extra work please, make these really good builds and screen them all and make sure everything's great. I mean, that's never gonna happen, right? Because the resources are limited. What I think we're talking about here is screen it before the seasonal start.
Yes.
Because this Lawn Thorns with Stone Gauntlets stuff, that's kind of on the edge of how are the EU casual players going to complete that? I don't know. I have no idea.
It's a bailout from the season theme. I think. I mean, that's got to be the only the saving grace, isn't it? But yeah, it's people like I've done it. Without a challenge with bag leveling a new character, it's grim. Like it feels so grim. You feel like you're missing out so bad.
Nowadays, it's grim. Yeah, definitely. Like the comparison is just so ridiculous. Probably brings us to our next topic, because we have talked so much about the challenge rift itself, but not about its benefits. Like, why do we want to have the bag, right?
Yeah, so it's a good point, Matt. So you do the bag because it gives you a bunch of resources that you don't have, right? When you start the season, you've got absolutely nothing. You don't even have the cube at the start. So it's going to give you a bunch of Veiled Crystals, Arcane Dust, Forgotten Souls. It's going to give you money, Death's Breath, and it's going to give you bounty materials. And through a couple combinations of things that we probably won't go into in super big detail, we can check out a guide from many of the lovely content creators on here or on Maxroll. You can actually get a level 70 weapon around level 40. That's like a 3000 DPS weapon that you're wearing around level 40 to just go through and destroy everything. And another thing that you can do is you can cube a single legendary power. So you can craft one legendary and you can cube its power. And sometimes, depending on the class that you're playing and how lucky you can get, can actually give you a tremendous power boost. So on that note, I know someone who has spent a lot of time researching this and recently wrote a full guide on it, was Wudijo. Woody, do you have a couple like key tips for people that you could talk about that those steps about crafting a 70 weapon and what powers to look for and what classes benefit from it?
Yeah, so well, the thing is that it's generally the weapons that you want to go for. So when you upgrade a rare weapon, it's usually the class weapons. So we have 200 scythes for the necros. Basically, every scythe there is really nice, and a lot of people are gonna play necros, so they're usually off to a good start no matter what. Even the bad choices that you can get are not really that that's bad, because all of them have big multipliers. There are some classes that have it not really easy, like Wizard, Crusader. They have a hard time leveling, so they would probably just go for the Shadow Clone strat if you level 1. And they have some other classes like Demon Hunter. That's always like somewhere in between. You have 100% guarantee to get something decent with the daggers, with Carly's Point and Blood Greenstone. But yeah, and then the other classes are somewhere in between, I guess. So Monk, they can do well with just basically no weapon, but they can get something like Gundam gear or some other bracer for level 1 gambling. So that's about it. Yeah, these challenge rewards are really nice. They speed up the leveling process. And yeah, you can also check it out. Have like a full list of all the items that you want to go for in the leveling guide. And there's also a specific gambling and cubing guide for level 1, where it's explained in even more detail. And you can also check it out on Maxroll for all the different classes for what you gamble and upgrade.
Okay. Do any of you guys have any other hints? Is there anything different on the hardcore side, Leviathan? I know that's where you live. Is there anything that you make sure you do every time that you level up, or any classes that you go for in solo leveling on hardcore?
I mean, there's a few intricacies, like things like if you gamble for your level 1 stuff from Kadala, throw it in your stash until you actually use it, because God forbid, at level 10 you die before you can equip like your level 16
wow.
items. And then
Wow.
suddenly, you lost that character, but thankfully you didn't lose all the blood shard investment, right? Those are at least still in your stash. So even just small things like that can be a saving grace for a bad start. And specifically for the Demon Hunter, one thing the community I should definitely give credit to sort of keyed in on was that because they have their bows, and Woody was talking about this a little bit with the class specific weapons, for the level 70 weapon that you're trying to get the reduction on, you can get max discipline, which really sucks because it's going to feed into your secondary pool and cloud that up, make it harder to get the level reduction. So if you actually craft your bow on, say, a wizard can't get max discipline as a secondary. So then the ideal level 70 weapon, this applies across, this isn't just hardcore specific, this kind of applies across the board. So the max things you look for as a primary with life per hit, because that will take life after kill out of the secondary. And then on the secondaries, some sort of CC roll. And then now you have a super limited pool where basically you can only roll ignore, durability, monster, XP, and then level reduction.
I'm actually blown away. I've been playing this game for so long, and I wasn't aware of this discipline trick. That's actually blowing my mind. It makes absolutely sense hearing it, but like I've been around for so long, and I've tried to maximize so many things, and I just got my mind blown. Wow, that was amazing, dude. That's nice. Really good.
Yeah, for the longest time, I was crafting a one-handed mace because I was like, all right, this at least is going to be good. It's not a class specific, so I can't get discipline. And then I want to give credit to Tuba Hero and Echo Hack. They were the ones who kind of figured out, oh yeah, you can just do a bow still, but there you go.
Nice. Cool.
Yep, that was great. I think last season I crafted 2-handed crossbow on a witch doctor, and then I named him Bo, please. Usually his name is Pants, please. Bo, please. Delete him, and it takes away one little pool thing. Another trick that only works on PC. This does not work on console. I got a lot of angry DMs because I said this in a video, and a lot of people's console starts were ruined, so I apologize. Another thing you can do is, so you craft your 70 weapon, and you wouldn't do this in hardcore because Leviathan pointed out you should put it in your stash. But if you're in softcore and you want to level up really fast, you craft your level 70 weapon and you put it in your inventory to use the second that you ding whatever level 40. So then you don't have to go back to your stash in town. Another thing that you would do is you would craft all the weapons up until that weapon. So all the bows at 16, at 20, at 28, whatever they are. One trick is if you go to Miriam and you transmog them to whatever the first whatever the first picture is, whatever the first transmog is, you can no longer salvage them. So you
they are
line them.
compound. Mm-hmm.
You line them up on the bottom row in order by level, with the level 70 being last. And then you can actually, you don't even have to ever actually look at your items. I mean, this only saves seconds, right? But I don't, whenever I'm done, doing, part of a leveling thing, you press I for inventory and you can just glance how far on the right have you unlocked for weapons, and you just right click that one and you can never salvage it at the blacksmith anymore.
That's 5-head, dude.
It doesn't work on console. It will salvage it for you. So what happened was everybody crafted all their stuff. They're like, yeah, Rax's leveling guide, bro. I'm going to dominate. They crafted everything. And then they salvaged it because they transmogged it.
Yes.
It was all gone.
Rip all the materials. Goodbye, Chandra Bag.
That happened to me on Switch on Witch Doctor 2 seasons ago. I was like,
yes, learning the hard way.
Rip. It was, oh god, it's painful.
That is painful. All right.
Yeah, so
that's a good
apologize. Tip. I apologize for all the seasonal starts that I ruined back then. There is like a super 5-head thing you can do as well. Now this is getting really sweaty, but if you're crafting your stuff at the beginning, you usually run out of veiled crystals right away. But you usually have a slight abundance in reusable parts and arcane dust. If you completely whiff everything, you can actually use the cube to convert veiled crystals to try a couple extra times. So that's if you want to get really sweaty with it.
Another tripping stone that I kind of often see people do, and that people reach out to me, is if you're aiming to go for Hedric's Gift, right? If your goal is to quickly go through the first 3 stages of the seasonal journey to actually cash in on a Hedric's Gift and get like a very fast-paced 6-piece, what a lot of people do during the leveling process is when crafting the level 40 weapon, so the level 70 reduction weapon, that they spend a lot of money in rerolling, right? You should make sure that when you hit 2.2 million gold, you should stop and not continue anymore, because it is actually better to forfeit that specific quicker progression from 40 to 70, because when you hit 70, what you can do is you can go to Squirts in Act 2 and buy the Hellfire plans, and those Hellfire plans give you 4 plans, right? So you cash in 1 plan and you get Strength, Dex, and Wit as a plan, which is one of the hardest points to actually get done when trying to get the third bag. And this is something a lot of people are usually struggling with. They're like, if you find a puzzle ring and you get a green goblin, then you're good, you're settled, because you will drop enough plans and designs. But if you don't, then you need to run level 70 bounties, and that takes a lot of time. So it's like a time trade-off where you need to consider, do I want to go to Hedric's? If yes, then you should really save your money, or have one teammate at least save his money so he can quickly get the designs through, get a quick 6-piece, and then carry you. That is a very important thing. I very often hear, all 4 of us didn't get a level reduction weapon, we have no golds, and now we can't buy the designs, and then it's like you slowed yourself down by like 2 or 3 hours. Not that it matters, but it's one of those little things where you follow the tips and you want to have this weapon, but you commit to this tip so hard that you unfortunately screwed yourself.
So that's really interesting. I have a question, because part of the objectives on your way to those Hedric's bags, you do have to do bounties, right? So are you doing it at a point where it's not giving you a crap ton of those plans?
Correct. You would do them. So this is usually what a lot of groups are doing, and they're doing like the bounty snapshotting, right? So when you are level 33 and your 4 people are level 33, 1 person leaves the game. He's creating a level 1 character. He opens a T6 level 1 game, invites his group. So you have 1 level 1 guy in there, 3 level 33 guys in there. The level 1 guy, who's the host of the game, leaves. He joins on his level 33 character. And now the game is a level 1 game on T6. It's entirely snapshotted, which means you can just clear it. You can split clear. Nothing does damage to you. Everybody has his movement speeds. You just rush through it in like 10 minutes. And you get the bounty bags. The only restriction is the bounty bag items are level 1 because they are snapshotted and they can't be designs and plans. So you only
see.
get the T6 materials. You still get materials to cube stuff. It's still T6 materials, but the items in there are level 1. So you don't get any real items. You cannot get the legendaries from the back. And that's about it, right?
Gotcha. So depending on how sweaty your strategies are,
exactly,
you might have to do one adjustment for another part of the
correct
seasonal training. Gotcha. Okay.
Correct.
And that tip about buying the designs, like kind of to mesh what Matt and Leviathan are saying. What I in past seasons, I don't know if I'm just lucky. It seems like I complete getting the patterns by doing the round of bounties. And whether you do the bounties or not usually depends on whether you're going Hadric's Gift or LOD, right?
Yes.
And I think we'll get to that later. I think this one will be a very heavily dominated by Hadric's Gift. But I think Matt's suggestion to save the gold and buy the plans is extremely strong for LOD starts, right? Because then you can potentially skip the bounties right in the beginning. But Hadric's Gift you can't, because you have to do the bounties because they're an actual task, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I understood, I think when you want to go LOD, you can spend all your money because you don't need the designs, because you don't need the Hadric's Gift, right? That's how it is.
Exactly.
Maybe I misunderstood you right now, but yeah, if you go LOD, you don't need to do bounties, you don't need to do Hadric's Gift, and that means you can spend all your money on trying to get the weapon.
Exactly.
My bad then, I misunderstood. But yes.
No, you're good.
Exactly.
Okay, so we got through all the intro stuff, right? The challenge rift, you have to craft this level 70 weapon, you have to upgrade and cube of power. There's all these little intricacies to it. Now there's a bunch of different ways that you can actually choose to level up, and they're all a little bit different. One of the more popular ways, I would say maybe the most popular way for the people who really, really want to go fast, especially in groups, is cursed chest leveling. And I know that Matt has spent a lot of time doing that, and he was one of the first people to release a video on it. Matt, can you tell us a little bit more about cursed chest leveling and all your secrets, please?
I mean, so the strategy originated, so credits given to some people on Asia, I think. It was like the very first time I saw a video of this. It was like 3 necromancers and a barb, and they were just doing cursed chests all the time, and they were using mostly corpse explosion to level very quickly. And it was like when I saw this video, I had like a huge epiphany. I was blown away by this idea, and essentially what you're doing is you obviously have a group of 4 people. Communication is key. You need to sit in Discord or TeamSpeak or whatever you want to use to communicate. And you actually open separate games. Everybody is opening a separate game. Usually you try to do a fairly high tier, like tier 2, tier 3, tier 4. You should, while actually running to the cursed chest. So first of all, you open the game, you check if there's a specific cursed chest in your game that you want to do. You need to exactly know which cursed chests those are. You can check Woody's guide. I'm sure it's in there. It's a couple in Act 1, it's a couple in Act 2, it's a couple in Act 3. Act 4 and Act 5 are extremely dangerous, so I wouldn't really recommend those. You will die quite often and lose your kill streaks, which usually doesn't make it worth it. And then everybody checks what bounties he has, and if somebody has one of those cursed chests, then you invite the people and you run to the cursed chest. It is very important to buy mitigation items every single time you wait in town until the person who invited you made it to the cursed chest. So you need to tank up and buy items. And then, yeah, you click on the flag, click the cursed chest, try to survive, try to get the first corpse initiated, and then corpse explode. Hold down this button, because this button is damage, and this is the only thing keeping you alive, because you're playing tier 2, 3, 4. It's a lot of fun because it's a lot of coordination. You cannot pull this off without training it. This is something where you need to meet up, you need to make a plan, you need to make a schedule, and you're like fully dedicated, and then you're min-maxing it, you're making VOD analysis, and you try to get down below 50 minutes, because you wanna get those 7 minutes out, and then
it is, it's
a lot of fun
strategy if you don't try too hard.
But
I like your approach. Okay.
So that's like the world #1 rank approach, which we can all appreciate. So I guess Matt and Filthy, would you say that this particular method is kind of out of reach for casual players?
I think like the concepts you can use from it. So it's it's kind of about density, isn't it? And massacre bonusing, and going to do the chest is going to be beneficial for you and looking out for them. Possibly not at the higher difficulties, because obviously like dying is frustrating, particularly for casual players. Leaving games, remaking them doesn't feel great. But yeah, it's something you can look out for if you start a new game. You've got a juicy one. You can go for it. So I'd always recommend doing them.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's pretty hard to execute overall. I wouldn't particularly recommend it to a casual, because the efficient part about Cursed Chest is doing a difficulty that you usually could never do. So you need to really try to eke out, do we have right now enough damage for T5? And then you open T5, and up until you're at the Cursed Chest, you barely do anything. And then you just try to survive and blast anything away with your Corpse Explosion Chains. It is really asking a lot from the group on this end. If you do it all the time on T1, then it feels easy, and then it's too easy, and then it's not efficient anymore. So really like finding the right spot in, we have enough damage for this, and very often it happens like we're popping, or we're opening this Cursed Chest, and then somebody's like reduce, I don't have enough DPS, and it's your main carry, and then somebody needs to be really quick about reducing it, because once the monsters spawn it's too late, but after after the reduction, when they spawn, then you're good. So those are like those little things that I think a lot of casuals will have troubles figuring out, like what can we actually do. And it's a lot of experience, and that's the main part of what you need to train in this strategy. It's very, very, very rewarding as a feeling to pull it off. That's how I feel about Cursed Chest leveling, but overall I would not recommend it. That's how I see it.
And so, Leviathan, do you think, is this strategy very popular on hardcore? Is this viable? Because, as Matt said, you're usually pumping up the difficulty, and this has to be Woody's favorite method, because at any moment could be your last, and you just have to dodge everything 5 head.
5 espresso, like, let's go. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, for hardcore, it's really the risk versus reward gamble that you're trying to find the sweet spot between, because a lot of the strats that exist, and talking about this one in particular, kind of going to what FilthyCasual is saying, you can replicate it, but maybe at a lower difficulty, so you're not getting the max bonus out of it, right? And in some cases, if you can't do that, T6, T5 version, it's almost not worth your time to even pursue that strategy, because you can even more efficiently get to 70 in a different way and a safer way. And I think the biggest thing for hardcore is, how safely can I get to 70? Since dying is such a gigantic reset, it can take you 5 hours if you have to do it twice. So I wonder if the big thing is which classes you're involved with, because if you get your cheat death early, you may try to risk things a little quicker or a little more earnestly. But at the same time, like, there's still just the fear of God in you, of as soon as you proc, like, everything goes to hell in a handbasket. So I think that the hardcore players, from my previous experience, tend to go for just the strats that aren't even, nearly as sweaty, mainly because the consistency is the biggest key.
Yeah, and if so, there are 2 ways I think you can approach the Cursed Chest, and I think the way that Matt described requires a little bit more planning and a little bit more knowledge, where you literally map out every Cursed Chest, right? And these are the efficient ones, and we're looking for them in all the games, and we're following the leader, and we're doing them in this order. Another way that I think is very popular is just to always go for the Temple of the Firstborn chest. And there's a specific reason why that one is so great. It's because first of all, it seems to spawn very often. It spawns in a really gigantic room. And a lot of times, even this season, it spawns with a shrine in it, which is ridiculous. And then the question becomes, well, if you have a Bloodtide Blade, do you click the shrine afterwards and then run around and go through a stroll through the rest of the Temple of the Firstborn? But another really, really big selling point about just repeating the Temple of the Firstborn is it has all these little creepy, crawly bugs that come out of the walls all the time. Sometimes you can literally walk into the room with the Cursed Chest with already a 100 massacre. So that is another way to kind of simplify it. So Woody, is it fair to say that it's your favorite leveling method because the expected number of times you're going to die is like 68 times from 1 to 70?
Well, I don't intend to die at all, so.
But other people do, so that's why
for all
it's
the other
nice.
humans, yes.
I mean, yeah, when SVR dies, I'm gonna laugh. No, but to be serious, I actually like Massacre Leveling the most. And I guess this is also like one of the viable strategies, just go massacres all the time. And you kind of do that with the cursed chest anyway, at least with some of them, instead of just rushing to the cursed chest. Like in Temple of the Firstborn, you actually go there, try to build up the massacre already. And there are some other cursed chests where that is also quite decent. So yeah, I really like keeping the massacres. It's actually a very fun experience for me, especially in solo, trying to make sure that you don't drop it and then have kind of like this calculation in your head. So is it worth dropping the massacre here and then going next game, or just rushing ahead because I would have to kite this one enemy for half a minute to actually find the next room. So I really like this like little mini game, and it feels very nice when you have like this 500 streak and it pops and you get like 4 level ups, even though you're already at like level 60, and you just jump so much. So it feels very great, I think.
That's one of the things I also really love about like Massacre bonus, and I think that's also one of the reasons why I like Cursed Chest Leveling so much, because it's so different from what you do in the rest of the season.
Yes, exactly.
Right? Like some people level Nephilim Rift, so they do bounties or something like this, but they're like completely different strategies that we never can utilize that you can do. Specifically
it's very
for
different.
Massacre.
The gameplay is very different, and then depending on what you roll with your items, you have like very weird builds and try to make it work. And then you have like this Massacre mini game that, if you do it well, you know, it has like a really high skill ceiling basically.
Yes.
And you can really distinguish yourself. So that's amazing, I think.
Yeah, in Massacre bonus, I like it when I watch somebody do it, and then you look at his pathing, right? And he's like, how is he planning ahead? He's like backwards pedaling a bit, like he doesn't want to kill this monster, so he uses like a weaker skill to just move the monster with him, so he doesn't drop the Massacre bonus, right? And then he's opening tab and he's pathing out. It's like, which way do I go now to keep the streak? So the planning ahead and the thinking about like pathing the map correctly and when to leave, what Woody mentioned, is like a super fun mini game in Massacre Leveling that I enjoy personally, and I think a lot of people do.
Yeah.
So Woody, besides the obvious going for cursed chest, what are some of your favorite zones to do massacre bonuses in? What classes have you leveled massacre bonuses with? Which ones do you think are like the kings of doing that?
Yeah. I mean, the recent seasons I usually started in a group, but I have done some level testing. So this time around, I tried solo necro a bit with different setups. So also the solo wizard. Solo wizard was not really a pleasant experience, but I managed to get it down to like 1.5 hours actually. So I felt like I was not really trying too hard, but I did use the Hydras with Fragment of Destiny. So that is like one of the better outcomes that you can get from upgrade rare. And if you don't get anything, then wizard is going to have a bad time. So yeah, that was not really. You can do pretty well with most classes anyway, even if you don't have crazy multipliers. But of course, some are better than others. Like Necromancer is insane. When you have Bloodtide Blade, just go Massacres and Cursed Chests, and you can do like 45 minutes or something. That is pretty nuts.
Did you try Witch Doctor?
Yeah, Witch Doctor, a long time ago, so not recently.
Yeah, because before Temple of the Firstborn, Witch Doctor used to be
the best
they always
went to Eternal Woods, I think, or so. Fields of Misery, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was because of Haunt mostly and Locust, right? And you were
I think that's still good, but only for Witch Doctor. But typically these days, everyone goes for Temple of the Firstborn for the Massacres.
Yeah, so I was wondering how good is Witch Doctor on Temple of the Firstborn, because I've never done it. Last time I've done it there was no Temple of the Firstborn in the game. Yeah. Witch Doctor used to be the Massacre class.
Yeah, there used to be some zones, like the Fields of Misery and the Eternal Woods and maybe 1 or 2 others. Weeping Auto, I think also some people did that. But I think these days it's just Temple of the Firstborn anyway. So you just go there, you have a Massacre bonus with all the little bugs, and sometimes you get a Cursed Chest on top of it. So you can kind of do like a hybrid strategy between the Cursed Chests and Massacres. And that works really well for most classes, I believe. So I would definitely recommend that over Rifts or it's basically anything else. Besides like Season 22, you have the Shadow Clones. So for for the weak classes, or if you get unlucky with your crafts, just go Shadow Clones, I guess.
Do the clones count for the Massacre bonus? Do they still keep it up for you? No?
No.
Oh,
you can try to hit the enemies before the clone kill them. So that works.
So it can actually screw you up, right? It can be
Well, if you go for clone strategy, it doesn't really screw you up. You just go on T6 where you have 0 damage and the clone kills everything. So that's the strat, right? So
less
you
about
just
the
try
massacre,
to keep
more
out the
about the
massacre by hitting them.
Yeah.
You can do that, for example, with Demon Hunter. You can go multi-shot and you can always hit everything before the Shadow Clone does anything. So that works. You just have to be careful to not get one-shot yourself.
So, Filthy, what do you think about from the casual perspective? Is the Massacre bonuses a viable option for them? I mean, it's probably not as dangerous as trying to pump it up on T6 and go Cursed Chest leveling, but do you think it's easy for people to understand and implement and execute?
I think, obviously the principle's kind of handy to know, isn't it? Like particularly at the start, like doing Halls of Agony, like level 2 or something at level 1, just kind of build yourself up with a bit of XP. Obviously, it is high skill gap. It's not easy to do, but like going to get the cube, if you do that straight away, then you can Massacre bonus on the way there. It's not too bad. So, I think having the information and being able to use it, even if it's only a little bit, I think is helpful.
And for a hardcore Leviathan, is Massacre bonusing usually go-to strategy?
Yeah, you can definitely do it. I think it less less deterministic with hardcore and more just class, which class you're going with, because some classes will be better at it and some classes won't find as good of a time of keeping the streaks going. But like Woody was saying, now that there's sort of this one particular zone of Temple of the Firstborn, it's very hardcore friendly because the bugs, they can do a lot of damage if they get on top of you because it's death by 1,000 cuts. But you can control their ability with slowing skills and just good movement, so that you won't get hit by stuff. And
just don't get hit. Classes, classic.
Yeah,
don't get hit by.
Actually, when I was doing the wizard leveling, I was using the ice armor with the rune that has like a chilling aura.
It's really nice.
Amazing.
It's really good.
You just walk around. You have these bugs slowed all the time.
It's also
like Bane of Trap, and you can do like the biggest pull you like. You don't have to do any effort. It's amazing.
Yeah. It's also cool because it breaks breakables on the way, and you get like those, you break a lot of stuff, and you get those buffs, right? Like dimensional speed and so on, right? So that's really cool. You see that very frequently with that skill.
That's challenge rift stuff right there. I like it.
Oh man.
Okay, well, let's move into probably one of the best leveling methods for a streamer, because people love to watch people do this and just get chopped. The Halls of Agony blades leveling. Filthy, can you describe this to us and why it's certainly the best option for hardcore players? Not. I'm kidding.
It's the most casual one. It's why I've got it. It's casual every season. Come do this. Yeah, so it's Halls of Agony level 1 on T6. You have to find the massive meat cleaver things that just come down and chop, and you try and kite enemies towards them and pray you don't die. Preferably stun them or something underneath the chop, and make your game again 3 minutes later and do it again.
I think this could be a very fun challenge to try to reach 70 on hardcore with this strategy.
Yeah, that's a good.
You have a weird definition of fun sometimes.
We should do that sometime, like streamer versus streamer or something, like a community challenge.
Cool.
Let's go.
Yeah, try the whole day. Who could get the highest level? The problem is there are sometimes elites with Vortex.
Yeah, of course.
Jailer.
Yeah, you just lost. You just lost. It's like you rolled the dice and just lost at that point.
There you go. And hardcore no attack challenge. How far can you get? 300, Paragon 500.
You're a pacifist. You just kite him into the huge cleavers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the problem is the transformers there, when they transform, they ice skate over to you. And when you're like level 1, you got nothing and you're just walking, it's like almost impossible to dodge it. Boom. And another problem with Halls of Agony blades leveling is you only get like 3 deaths or something. Not that I know from personal experience. No, I mean every time I hit the death cap, and then you have to revive in town. And then bad news, when you re-enter the zone, it doesn't reset your death count. So if you die anyway along walking back to the blades, it's back to town for you.
Ooh.
Yes. Yes.
Or back to create a new character.
Yeah, I oh my god, dude. When I first saw Halls of Agony leveling, so this has been the meta for quite some time before cursed chest leveling happened, right? And we did Halls of Agony leveling like anywhere, everyone and his grandma was doing it, and it was so painful. I absolutely hate Halls of Agony level. You get no gear, you get no gold. When you reach level 70, you have nothing. Just no willingness to live anymore.
Well,
and
you
play.
deserve nothing for using the strategy.
Yes, you deserve nothing and even less. Oh my god, it's such a terrible strategy. It was fun the first time to see it and see that it actually executes. It's a cute idea, great idea. Some person came up with a genius. I think it was a North American dude, and he posted it on Reddit, and nobody, like, he posted a screenshot of his demon hunter, and he leveled in like 50 minutes, and nobody wanted to believe it. I think that was it, and then he released a video, and everybody was doing it. It's so painful. Like, am I the only one who has like PTSD flashbacks from doing Hoa runs? It's crazy to me. Like, I would never want to do it again.
But Matt, you just said earlier that your favorite part about leveling is doing something different than you'll do later on. I don't see you doing cleavers in the middle of the season. So I don't understand your mentality, bro.
It's definitely a very different game, I agree. Oh my god.
All right. Well, anything else for Halls of Agony blade leveling? Otherwise, we are going to come to the new and exciting gem of a leveling strategy this season, clone leveling, which I can talk about really quick, and I'm sure other people can add in here. So in season 22, when you click a shrine or a pylon, you get a little friend, a little clone. And I don't know if anybody actually tested this. I know that when the clones first came out, you needed to have like some gear equipped and like at least one legendary equipped. Otherwise, they didn't do any damage. But now I've heard that they changed it, and now the clones just dominate pretty much straight away. Anybody, Woody, did you test that after they changed it?
It's true. It works. So I tried it after they changed. And at level 1, you just take the follower weapon, and they're good to go. Like, I did it on PTR with the buff, and I went from the first clone to like 1 to 15. And even at level 15, the damage started falling off, but I was still wearing my level 1 weapon with nothing else, and it still killed stuff, so it's fine. Okay. But later on, you want a legendary, so usually when you gamble something, you just equip that, and then afterwards, the Shadow Clone's gonna blast.
Fair disclaimer at this point, how certain are we that there's not going to be any changes to the seasonal theme between last PTR iteration and right now yet again?
Like 98%, I'd say.
90, all right. 2% chance to fail entirely when going with that strategy.
Yeah, everyone's getting hyped up about the Shadow Clones and Fate Day. Whoops.
Yeah.
Guys, it's really simple. I have the solution. It's really easy. Turn on sVr stream 10 minutes into the season and see if he's doing blade leveling. If he is, you'll know for sure that the clones don't do jack shit. But no, but seriously, on the way that they currently work is you click I mean, it's obviously in your best interest at any time to be as powerful as you can and to put on legendaries if you find them. But they changed it, so now it will actually be strong right in the very beginning. And there are some specific zones that are very good for finding shrines or back-to-back shrines, and this is outside of rifts, where sometimes you can chain together these incredible kill streaks, and the clones can easily kill monsters on T6, which is the highest difficulty you can make. So the really, really good ones in Act 1 are the Cemetery and Leorix and the Southern Highlands. All three of those have a shrine that can spawn essentially right near the waypoint. And then if you go to Leorix and you get the shrine and you walk down in that next zone, I can't remember, was it Northern Highlands? Is that what it is?
Yes.
It can have multiple shrine spawns again, and then you can go down and you can just mow like sometimes 3 entire zones, just chaining the cursed shrines or the shrines. And then in Act 2 there's Howling Plateau, which is insane because usually there's a shrine that spawns right by the waypoint, and then you can walk up to Black Canyon Mines and usually that has a shrine, and you can keep going and just plow that entire zone. And then the Realm of Fractured Fate in Act 4 has a shrine essentially right there. You can just click it and just mow. A couple of other things to know about the clone leveling are they last for 1 minute and then they will expire. If you're playing in a group, there is a proximity to them, and they seem to have very, very strange, like, following interaction. Like, it seems like the best strategy is to move with a group and to walk around the map together rather than split up, because sometimes they do very crazy things. And you can almost use your teammates as like a meat shield for whoever clicked the pylon. You can use them as bait to like shield like the spear throwers in the Northern Highlands and stuff like that. Especially in hardcore, right, Leviathan?
Oh yeah. Yep.
As
Who
long
wants to go
as
first?
That's interesting. So because if the person who actually got the clone dies, you're done for, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why. So it's like kind of like protect the
clicker
president's
must survive,
secrets.
everyone else can die.
And if you
Wow.
reach, and there is some kind of strategy to it, like just as an example, if you get a shrine in Leoric's Manor and you're going across to the Northern Highlands, in the top right corner on the little lip of like the upper level, there is very commonly a shrine there that you can check very quickly. If you have that shrine spawn, you have two choices. You can click it, and then I believe that spawns another set of shadow clones at the same time with separate timers. Or you could actually backtrack and do a little square around the entire zone and then click it again when your timer is about to expire, and then go down into the other zone. So there is kind of like a little optimization mini game that you can play depending on how sweaty you want to get with it. Woody, I know you did a lot with, I think you did a lot with the clones as well. Is there anything that you would add to that about strategies on how to effectively use them?
No, not really. You just need to be careful about which zone you are in. So especially the Highlands, the Southern Highlands, Northern Highlands with the spear chuckers. So those are like the really dangerous zones. So if they will one-shot you, like even if you buy gear from the vendors every time, usually you will not survive a hit, or maybe you get lucky and survive a hit, but you shouldn't count on it. So this is mostly what you have to be aware of. You will die very easily in some zones. So it's best to just try it out first. Like if you have the list of the recommended shrines to go for, and then like the Act 1, especially with the Southern Highlands, for example. In Act 2, you have like the Dakunis that jump at you. So you need to be aware of how to outplay these monsters. So this is the most important part. And probably something worth testing out at least for a few minutes before the season.
Yeah, and this is I think what Filthy was talking about earlier, right? Where like the seasonal theme may bail out the EU casuals, because nothing's preventing you from just grabbing your follower's weapon, putting on T6, and clicking a shrine in case you can't do that terrible challenge rift. All right. Well, anything else on clone leveling? Do you guys think that that's going to be the most popular option? Is that what you guys are going to go for? Is that a viable strategy in hardcore? Levy, is there like, do you like narrow down the shrines to like avoid like the Northern Highlands with the spear chuckers? Because those spears are hard to dodge.
They are really hard to dodge. Just one quick thing to backpedal. I think, not to speak for FilthyCasual, but I think what he was mentioning was right now when you're practicing the challenge rift, you don't get the benefits of the shadow clones. But when you go in on Friday, you will. So even if you're having trouble, like struggling with the EU challenge rift, he's thinking maybe the shadow clones will carry you in that aspect.
Yes, definitely.
To chime in on the shadow clone leveling for hardcore, I think it actually could be fine. Like you were saying, you might have to go to those zones that are recommended and see, like Woody was saying, a little bit of practice beforehand. Can I dodge this? Is it going to be safe? Again, if I'm playing a class that gets its cheat death earlier, as soon as the cheat death procs, even if the shadow clone is going to be around for another 30 seconds, right? We're out of this game, on to the next one. And then that might work out. I do really feel like it comes down to the amount of comfort and practice, because if you're tried and true on previous methods, it may work out to just do those because you already can assess the risk inherent in what you're going to be doing. Whereas if you didn't get a chance to practice this either on PTR, with the full gamut of how it will work, and you're not confident, then it's definitely a bit of a risk and a gamble on your character's life.
Yep.
Yeah, on clone leveling. So I haven't tried clone leveling. I've only watched a couple of videos on it and heard a couple of ideas. I wasn't aware about this this technique or this minigame of like free protect one, like the one guy who clicked the pylon, and then the other three ones are like it's kind of like the Secret Service protecting the president thing, right? It's like throwing yourself into the, all movement abilities active, throwing yourself into the projectiles to make sure that one guy survives. So I like kind of the idea. I think we have never played something like this for leveling.
How about another challenge?
Another challenge.
Here we go.
T6 4 people?
No. We need to do a 4-man GR 150 with a guy that has absolutely 0 toughness, and everyone needs to protect him until the line.
Oh my god!
I like it.
All right, sure.
The first vortex or jailer. What are we gonna do?
Yeah, you leave the game. Probably.
You have to figure out a way.
I mean, the mob set fishing will be crazy.
Put a floor on him, right? Give him those CCs, something.
Yeah, but, that's kind of a minigame we've never did, but it's a good idea for a challenge. I do agree, definitely. Something one could do.
So then 2 other just little mini points, which I think were already made by I think Woody and Leviathan, but just to draw attention to them. You do want to pick up gear along the way. When you're on T6 and you have the clones killing things, the elites are going to drop yellows and blues. These are not things that you can skip. You need to walk over there and pick them up and put them on. It's going to give you a higher chance to be a Secret Service agent to protect the president, or maybe you're lucky enough to be the president himself with your little entourage. And another thing is you have kind of one of 2 choices if you're doing it in a group. You can have the person who you think is the most 5-head. He's Neo from the Matrix and can just dodge the best, click the pylons, and that might be good enough. Or if everyone in your group feels very confident, it could just be whoever gets the luckiest with gambling. Whoever gets, the corpse explosion gloves and the Leorc's crown has, 2 legendaries, and they might have the strongest clones. So because the clones are based upon who clicks the shrine, right?
Yes.
So
but
that's
for leveling, it doesn't matter too much. So you rather go with whoever survives the best. So
yeah, whoever.
Like one legendary alone will pretty much carry.
Interesting. That's pretty cool.
But I think Shadowstones will be the most popular strat actually this season. I think a lot of people will try it out, and especially all those that don't play Necro are probably better off with the Shadows anyway.
True.
And I think one consideration, sorry, real quick.
No, go ahead.
Because we always talk about like the extremes, right? Like the best way to get the most experience is to do it on the highest difficulty with the best strats. And there is always the application of lowering the difficulty down because it will increase your potential to survive. But of course, you're not getting the full benefit out of that strategy, right? Because you want to be on the highest difficulty since you get so much power out of it. But at the same time, if you can't survive it, you can't survive it. So just to kind of weave back around from the hardcore aspect, sometimes we can take these strategies, but just play them at a slightly less efficient version of it with like T1 or T2 strats instead.
No, that's good, and that makes perfect sense. And I tried leveling up like this. One person on the NA side who likes to blast leveling every single season. He does like 100 practice runs every time. Is the Booty. He's a good friend of mine. And the fastest route I think that we had was you do clone leveling 1 to 40, and then you get your weapon, and especially if you have a blood tide blade. And then we did Temple of the Firstborn cursed chest, because the clones we seem to shave off a significant amount of time if you have a coordinated group just going in there and getting the cursed chest. It seemed to me more valuable. And on a couple of the occasions we even got a shrine in the cursed chest room, which makes it even more insane. I think we tried it leveling to 60 and all the way to 70. It gets a little bit difficult when you get all the way up to 70. You just don't have quite as good of gear. But there might be some really optimal way to kind of mix and match these things. Another thing that I've heard some people are going to do, and I don't know, I'm not sure I really believe in it. I think it's kind of a meme, but maybe it isn't, is to go on a Crusader and everybody upgrade cow sticks and try to do the clone leveling in the cow level.
That's interesting.
Do you guys think, I mean, it's a 1 in 3 chance, right? And maybe you have 4 shots. You have to go, another thing is you have to go get the cube first. In a lot of these clone leveling strategies, you don't actually, in a lot of cases, you can actually just skip going to get the cube at the beginning. And that actually turns into, from what I've seen, actually a time save to not go get it, especially if you're not cubing a power. Do you guys think, what do you guys think about going quad Crusader and upgrading for the expected value of 1.33 cow sticks? Do you think that would be enough?
Yeah, it is a quite risky gamble, but the thing is that on the other hand, it's not really risky because if all else fails, you just go shadow clones anyway, even at the cow level. And in this case, yeah, it would make sense if you have 4 Crusaders all trying for it. If you get 2 or even 3 cow sticks, you get like lucky, and you can basically blast almost all the way to 1 to 70 with this, because there's so many cows, you get so much XP. There's 5 shrines in there, so this will definitely carry you most of the way if you have like 2 cow levels already. So, and if not, then you just go shrines and that's it. But yeah, you have to get the cube, and the thing is, you have to get a cube anyway. So I don't think you're losing all that much. If you get it at level 1 or at level 70, it doesn't make much of a difference, aside from the fact that you have to spend the time together. But if you do it at level 1 and at level 70, you can just have one guy run there and then everyone takes it. But that's the only difference I see there.
Yeah, another thing you can do if you want to be really sweaty about it, like if you all log on Necros and then you have like the first Necro craft, it's like, did you get a Blood Tide Blade? Oh yeah, I did. Okay, well everybody else make a Satyr because we don't need anything else. So at that point, you could just YOLO 3 cow sticks.
Yeah, that was true. Yeah.
So now we got like
upgrade
combo
one by one.
strats.
Yes,
Combo
upgrade one
strats.
by one, and then have the rest go cow.
This is combination fried rice here. We can get whatever we want. Chinese food.
If we have a barb in the group, because I think I'm going to end up with 1 barb. Is it a big brain play for the barb to go for Band of Might then on the blood shards, and then they click all the shrines the whole game?
Yeah, I would recommend that for barbs anyway. That start with 3 Necros.
Yes, Band of Might is like the standard thing. Like you
Band
have a
of
50.
Might is really good.
Yeah, you have a 50-50 between Lorix and like Sigurd and the Band of Might, and you're really happy about the Band of Might, like really, really happy. But if you get the Sigurd, then you know what, at least something. You got a little prize. So barb gambling is usually rings. Yeah, always recommend.
Extra EXP.
Yes.
And another thing that we could mention that probably a lot of people will care about is a lot of people, I assume, at least the groups, are going to be trying to move into rats very quickly, and rats is triple necro barb. I think a lot of teams, I think, are considering not leveling with a barb and instead leveling with quad necro, because the real challenge in getting started is you have to get 2 haunted visions, right?
That is if you go for the masquerade set, right? No, you're right. My bad. You're correct.
Yeah, you need.
Moving on.
Yeah, so that's another thing to consider. Filthy, I don't know if you were going, like, were you planning on going triple necro barb?
Yeah, I've had one of my necros can't make it now, so we've got 1 spec left. But yeah, we were going to go triple necro and barb, but the barb was happy to roll the necro. So
yeah, it's just something to consider. Obviously, you can level up any way that you want. The real task, when you've really made it, is when you get 2 haunted visions. And because it's amulets, they're like impossible to craft, they're impossible to gamble for. Really, honestly, your best bet is just to run around with 4 necros, and that's going to be like a big limiting part for a lot of group play.
Yeah, there's 21, I think, in the necro loot pool, which is just like, that's miserable RNG on upgrades, isn't it?
Yes, it's super bad. So let's give like an overall recommendation here. So for the casual players, Filthy, if you could recommend one leveling method for next season, what would you point to have them do as the best option?
I'm going to be really filthy and just cheat. I was going to say the mixed bag, is in like a little bit of this, a little bit of that. The clones, I'll be doing it because it's new. We're not going to have it in future seasons, so I think it is interesting. But obviously, if you're having problems dying, if you're not confident with it, you've always, as a casual, got rifts to fall back on. You know, and one thing I would say before we get like console, I think you do get massacre bonusing in rifts, so you know you get a lot of XP for that.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
That's a whole different world then.
Yeah, that's definitely a whole different world. Oh.
So, Levy, what about for solo players and for hardcore? What would you recommend, and what are you gonna do next season for leveling up?
So the one thing that almost is like the biggest question before you even start to think of a method is like, which class are you going to play? Because when you're playing solo, and we'll cover a little bit of this later when we talk about changing classes. There are classes that just inherently get to 70 faster, right? Like how Matt was referencing the Witch Doctor in the past. They were so good at Massacre Leveling that you almost wanted to start on a Witch Doctor and then do anything else after that just to get to that fastest route to 70. But the other consideration is what happens after 70. And you want to kind of be on the class that you plan to get the furthest with, or you know, whatever your goals are, because you're giving yourself the better opportunity to start gearing it, you know, as soon as possible. So it really depends on your goals and what kind of aspect of what your opening night wants to be, or you want it to look like. But to get more to the heart of your question, I think that for me, I'll be playing Demon Hunter because I skipped last season and God came. God shined upon us in season 21. So I really want that. I want to just have a full season of God. So I'm looking forward to doing it with season 22. And it really breaks down for Demon Hunters on what that what the upgrade is in the cube. If you get the Lord Greenstone's fan, it's the lottery. You hit the jackpot. You get to do the really fast leveling with Temple of the Firstborn and Massacre bonuses. If you get Carlays, it kind of sucks. You can be saved a little bit if you save your blood shards and gamble at 31 on the DH to try to get the Holy Point shot. But for that, you're not even really doing massacres anymore. You're going into your standard rifts. And you might think of maybe trying the divergent Shadow Clone leveling just because it's going to be better than doing rifts, which is basically the slowest strategy that exists these days. But it's tried and true again. And so there's also that hardcore aspect of, well, you know what you're mainly going to get in rifts, and it's not going to be nearly as rippy as potential Shadow Clone trying to do it on higher torments. So there's really all these different levers to pull, and I think it depends on how brave you want to be, and if you're trying to go for like conquest, high rankings on conquest and things like that. But if you're just trying to get to 70 and survive, you know, there's all these strategies that we've discussed, and many of them are fun and different and interesting. So roll the dice.
But I would guess that Temple of the Firstborn and Massacre bonuses is basically always better, also in hardcore, because you know exactly what you get. You know exactly what enemies are there. In Rifts, you usually have like, you know, designed for endgame kind of like monster sets, and some of them are really rippy. You have like angels and archers everywhere and corpse raisers and whatever. In Temple of the Firstborn, I guess you just go with this if hardcore, no?
So. That's true. I think the one offsetting aspect is because you get better drop rates and gear inside of Rifts, it's a lot safer from that aspect because you'll have just a way better progression of what your armor is looking like, what your legendary powers are looking like. And that also, again, starts to bleed into that. You're going to be a little bit better prepared post 70. But you're right. I do think that there's also, again, that aspect of if you've practiced it, then you'll know exactly what to expect out of Temple of the Firstborn. Because there can be some elites, like I died in practicing leveling on Monday in Temple of the Firstborn. I was literally level 65. And for those that don't know, awareness unlocks at 66. So it's actually pretty brutal. But you can get wallered, or like there's purple uniques in there.
Purple uniques are crazy, right? They are like really crazy for hardcore. Yeah.
Yes. They'll just surprise you and have extra vortex and all sorts of things you don't expect yet. So there can be a little bit of that, but for the most part, you're right. It's very consistent once you know.
So one thing about purple uniques, you also, unless you explicitly know what affixes this guy has, you don't know what they have because you can't check it, right? You can't hover over them and like, oh, this guy has frozen, so let me, you know, fuck off here. It's crazy. It's like we are so used to you know, what does this elite have? All right, sure, I can fight him. Oh, this is a juggernaut, right? And you see a purple, and it's like a magic box. Like anything can happen, right? So like seeing a purple unique while hardcore leveling, and you're like already at your max capacity, is like must be a rush. Like yeah.
Nah, just skip, I guess, in most cases.
Yeah, try to run away.
So Woody and Leviathan brought up 2 points, and I wonder if there's a way to kind of bridge them. So Woody was like, "Oh, do Temple of the Firstborn every time. It's so strong." And Leviathan's like, "Well, you get better loot, right, in rifts, and you're a little bit more powerful, so you don't die." One kind of one kind of epiphany that I had a couple seasons ago leveling up is how good, especially as you level up, how good the vendor loot can be, especially if you're willing to like reset the game and check like the right vendors in Act 3. Like people like, Rax, you take your follower's weapon. Why don't you go to the vendor in Act 3 and buy a weapon? It's usually way better. And I'm like, oh yeah. And then it's like, and then like remade a game, we're practicing like, Rax, did you check the vendors? I'm like, no, is this something I'm supposed to do every time? And I'm like, these yellows are dank, bro. Damn, you guys have this every time? So I'm wondering if on hardcore it's a viable strategy to stick with Temple of the Firstborn, but have you ever tried taking the time, like, is it good enough gear to maybe reset the vendors, 1 or 2 times every round to buff yourself up and go back in? Is that enough or not really?
No,
Or have you-
I'm glad you brought that up because that is a key aspect. And this will actually dovetail into something Woody said earlier, is that in Temple of the Firstborn, you do have that cursed chest that spawns with quite good regularity. And you can do it on like pretty much every class and get the rares that come out of that. So that'll already feed into leveling you up in terms of gear a little bit. But yeah, checking vendors, crafting at Hadrig as well too. Like when you want a better weapon before you get to your reduced level weapon, that can also be super key as well. Because I mean, the biggest thing is like if you just, as you're doing the massacre bonuses, try to get rid of some of the other enemies that might be more dangerous by having enough power to just kill them off. That can be key to survival. But yeah, you're right. Definitely keeping in mind, vendor checks, just looking at your gear in general. Because the one thing I found is when you're remaking your games, you get in this flow state of like, I just want to get back in and get the next massacre bonus going. But you may not even look in your inventory and be like, dude, you have a chest upgrade, you've got new pants, like tons of things that can help you survive, which in turn are just going to help you level faster.
Yeah, the vendors is super underrated, I think, actually. Like weapons, I think craftable, definitely, you want to be doing that at Hadrig, but obviously you don't want to be crafting anything else. And you can't, the gold cost's really cheap, isn't it? Provided you haven't bricked it all on your weapon. You've got a lot of gold, you don't have many veiled crystals, so yeah, it's always good, I think.
Yeah. And then so Woody and Matt, I think you two are teaming up in 2 days, right? What about for groups? What have you guys decided on what leveling method you guys are going to do? I know Matt really wants to do blade cleaver.
Yeah, I was
leveling.
asking for that one. So starting the season in despair.
I'm also thinking about going hardcore last minute. So
hardcore blade leveling.
Hardcore blade leveling, quad stream. Let's go.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, but we're just gonna go for cursed chest. So
yes,
we have the rat setup, we have the 3 necros, it's cursed chest all the way. But for most people, I would just recommend going for clones unless you have an equally strong setup or you get super lucky with your best case scenario on your class. So basically, pretty much every class can blast 1 to 70 really fast when you have the perfect weapons like Serpent Sparker on a wizard, whatever, or like Monk with balance and the bracers from level 1 gambling. But most of the time, this doesn't happen, so just go with clones, I guess.
All right, now let's get to another juicy topic. What in the world does one do after you're 70? So, I don't know. When I look through the Hadrig's gifts in season 22, they look quite juicy. And one thing that was kind of coming to my mind is like, wow, Blizzard really made the new sets for most of the classes except Wizard. I have to throw the barb at sVr when I can.
Hydra is really good now. I mean, what do you mean?
It's underrated.
Like all these sets are really good. Like it's not a top tier for Wizard in that case, but Hydra is still very nice, I think.
Yeah, 100 speeds at 800 Paragon, easy.
Yeah, exactly. Like this was actually one of the best speed builds that I've tried on PDR, Hydra.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
I mean, it's not bad, but
it's Hydra.
When you compare it, it's Hydra.
Rank it is definitely in the top 10 also.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
I just compare it to like the God DH or the Tempest Rush Monk or the Bone Spear Necro.
Just compare it to God. It's like
that's what I mean. Like it's quite competitive with God, for example.
You think so?
Yeah.
I want to see that.
It's super tanky as well. Like you can take
tanky.
Orb of Infinite Depth with it, and Carini, and the 80% in the set. It's like triple Band of Might.
I think the question was though
very strong wizard.
Nerf. Yeah.
So Typhons is also the Hedric's gift, right, for season 22?
Yeah.
So in terms of DPS, and if monsters are not hitting hard and they have like literally no chance to penetrate your shields, then it's a very good build. And Hydra has a lot of front up DPS. So as long as you're playing difficulties where you don't care that you got hit, all goods, continue. And yes, it's an easy way up to 70, and it's an easy way up to 100 for people that want to do 100 first. But there is this breakpoint at some point where you open the Greater Rift where you continuously get your shields penetrated because you learned to just tank everything. And then it's this vicious cycle of you lost a Hydra head, you have less damage, and you have less mitigation, and the next hit that you're going to take will hit harder. And then you lose the next Hydra head, and then it's this vicious cycle of you just getting erased from feeling like this set and build was super tanky. And it's like such a quick swap from, one side of the spectrum being tanky, everything is good build, super strong, to the entire other side with nothing is working, everything is garbage. Did I change some skills? Did I change some items? Is my 6-piece active? So many questions suddenly, right?
I mean, this is just part of learning the build, I guess. This is a build where
but you need to be prepared. Yeah, you need to know this. You need to
prepare the lube.
Yeah, you need to exactly. You must.
This is very apparent from just reading the set bonus.
Is it for casuals? Is it?
Well, it clearly says if you take damage, you lose a Hydra head and you lose damage reactions. I mean, how? What else do you want?
So if someone comes up to you, Woody, and says, "I'm gonna murder you," it's okay as long as they warned you beforehand.
I mean, you get 80% damage reduction from the wizard set, okay? Yes. I mean, what else do you want, honestly? And you have the Halo of Karini.
Absolutely. I mean, don't get me wrong. I believe that it's easy for you, but just because it's easy for you, it's not easy for everyone. That's what one point is trying to be, and I'm certain that most casuals, or a lot of casuals, would just play the build just for fun. They equip it, and it's going well, and suddenly, just by increasing it by 1 tier, it's a complete swipe, and they are getting deleted. And I'm not sure what the thought process is or how they feel, but I imagine they feel really, really bad, and it's hard to understand what's actually happening. But that's just the flavor of the build. That's just what Typhons is. But you can get like easy past 70, easy past 100, easy peasy.
Yes.
For that,
I believe that as long as you're kind of like in the speed farming area and not really try hard pushing with Hydra, it's not gonna be a big issue even for more casual players. So as long as you build a character tanky, you're gonna be fine. And it has this unique mechanic, actually. This is what I like about the set, because it's very unique with these, Hydra heads dying. You have to really protect your shields more than on other wizard builds. And that is actually something that gives it a lot of flavor, in my opinion.
I mean, you can still have this flavor by giving the damage mitigation that you have, like a lingering effect. So after you lose a head, you still have like 3 or 5 seconds to have that, right? They would already mitigate some of those issues that newer players have, because once in a while they will replace a Hydra head and then understand, oh, that's why, because I lost the buff, because you visually see the buff then. So that could help a bit. But the fantasy is amazing of the set, obviously. Like the fantasy of itself, it's very unique, and I like unique stuff. Same like Jade set. I love Jade set just because it is something entirely else that we don't have in the game, really. And that's what I love about Jade. It's amazing.
I still need to do my Witch Doctor Jade season at some point.
You should do it. Jade is amazing.
Yeah. I'm already planning to do some off-meta stuff like Oriana, so maybe I'll also do Jade, but I'm also kind of feeling the itch for Mundungu, I have to say, so probably do maybe both. I don't know.
So maybe we can start with Leviathan on this one. So it seems like the Hadrig's gifts in Season 22 overall are very, very strong. And sometimes in seasons, depending on what class you're playing, it's usually like a decision, like seasonal journey versus LOD. Do you think that's pretty much just seasonal journey all the way here? Can you see a scenario where a class should go LOD over the seasonal journey here?
So I would say no. Honestly, like the new sets are all so just independently strong that even if you got some sort of super lucky, tons of ancients and it was just rain on you with the perfect items. I feel like the odds of that occurring are so low, and the very, very low risk odds of you just taking your 6-piece from Hadrig's and blasting are so high. If I said that right. Basically, what I'm trying to say is like there's no reason, in my opinion, to not go for the Hadrig's unless you have some really intricate, again, sweaty strategy that is min-maxing, saving it for a different class when you make a swap or something like that. Which actually could be a thing, by the way, for solo, right? Some players might start Necro because it's just really fun and easy to level as a Necro. Go LOD and then save your Hadrig's to make a swap into a much faster setup for a Demon Hunter or a Monk or something. So there is viability to it and reasons to do it. But I would say for like most cases, 99% of cases, you're going to be taking that Hadrig's this season. So good.
Yeah, I agree. Can any of you guys think of any scenario? I mean, that's an interesting point about switching.
Yeah, red groups will skip the Hendrix gifts, but as a solo player, they definitely go for it on every class. And the only one that has the big disadvantage is the Necro, but you still get a 10,000% bonus to Bone Spear. You can still blast like, I don't know, Torment 6 or Torment 8 or something right off the bat, and then try as hard as you can for the Haunted Visions, and after that you're going to be good. So this is what you're going to do. In all other classes, they just get their 1 or 2 or 3 key items that go with the set, and they're all going to be blasting T16 pretty much. So,
yeah.
So, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Filthy.
I was just going to say, you can take for the Necro, you can take the Messerschmitt's Reaver and really try and flip your simulacrums. So you basically pick no other skills with a cooldown, and then the sims just murder everything, and then you get back into simulacrum straight away.
So, Woody, you think it's going to be faster for the rat groups? You think it's faster to go LOD straight away than not try to go for the seasonal journey and pick up the Bone
I don't see much of a point. Like if you're trying to go for rats and you want to, beef up your gems right away and get them paragons, there's no point really. You get the set anyway later on, and for the most part, it's going to be blasting T16 together as a rat group. You're going to be blasting GRs together as a rat group. Try to do all of these really fast, and you get up your LOD gem really quickly in like 10 runs. You're already going to be blasting like GR 80 plus at least, I guess. And yeah, so depending on how many legendaries you have and how high your LOD gem is, in like the first 1 or 2 hours, you can do so much progress that you can't really catch up, I think, with the season journey there.
I agree. I also have the feeling like one little trick that you can do when you're going for those red group setups is since you have 3 Necros in the group, you can give all the Ravma items to one of the DPS players. Ravma is significantly stronger early on than LOD for obvious reasons. Like Ravma has a straight up 6-piece just multiplier right there, and due to the seasonal cube, due to the additional slot, we actually get Tuska and Tio now, which was previously not possible to do. So now you can cube Tuska and Tio, and you can still play with Tuska and Tio with Ravma at that point. So for this season, Ravma has a longer advantage before LOD becomes better. It's like somewhere around like when you have a level LOD gem level of level 50 to 55, depending on how many ancients you have, you would start swapping. That's actually when the LOD player will out DPS the Ravma player. So that's something that you can do in your groups, where you make sure to separate the loot, give one guy the Ravma items, one guy the LOD items. If something crazy drops that is really good ancient rolled, give it first to the Ravma guy. Once the LODJ is like over level 50, then you give the weapon back to the other guy. Because he's going to be strong at that point. So there are like a lot of cute little tricks with gear separation that you can do, which makes it easier to progress even faster. So that's a little neat trick in terms of...
But then the other is also quite questionable. Keeping. Like, by the time, like the time it takes to reach like level 50 plus on LOD is like 12 rifts or so. So this is going to be like 45 minutes or less even. So it's also not really that crazy after all, I guess.
It's not crazy. You only save a couple of minutes. It's a cute thing, nothing huge.
Yeah. I mean, like the trick, but I don't think it's really gonna happen for most people anyway.
No, definitely not.
So, and another thing, I thought I heard you talking about, Matt, on a previous one of the previous seasons where you were leveling up, and so is there an interaction between the torment rifts that you're doing and what GR level you can open to like when you're strong enough, just like skip a bunch of the GRs in between. Because I thought I remember you were talking with your group like, we need to do like a T10 rift, and people are like, why? And then nobody did it. And then you guys are crawling up the GRs. You're like, oh, that's why I should have done the T10 rift to unlock greater rift 60.
So we do interleave some Nephilim rifts in between greater rifts even though we still have enough keys to continue greater rifts. And the reason is simple: it is you stopped getting the 100% upgrade chance. It's like, so in the next run, we would get a 90, 80, and 70 on our upgrades, which is not worth it. Hence, we do one Nephilim rift, which is 5 tiers higher, such that we don't have the issue when we do the greater rift afterwards. And that's literally the only reason, is to not having to gamble, and you're going to use that key later anyways.
Right.
So that is the strategy, to quickly swap back into one Nephilim rift, amp it up, and then do that stuff just to avoid 98, 80, 70%, which is, once again, such a little tiny thing that is absolutely inconsequential in the grand scheme of a season. Like, it's so inconsequential you wouldn't even believe it. It's just fun. It's like one of those little things. Like, nobody has to do it. Nobody, ever. Can still have a nice season start without doing those things. Just saying.
Min-max.
Yes.
Min-max.
And so one thing that, one comment that I've gotten as feedback in some of the videos that I've released on leveling in the past is people say, okay, but Rax, okay, I do level 70, I got my Hadrix gift, I have my character. Now what? Okay, and that's usually a topic that I left out. And it's a topic that maybe I think, some of the casuals that don't, really study the game don't know, is that I think some people try to open the highest greater rift level that they could possibly clear, and that certainly has to be the most beneficial for me, right? But that's not true, right? We know that it's not like that. It's doing very efficient GRs is what's going to give you the highest XP per hour, and also I think one thing that people really, really underestimate is the importance of augments. And some people don't even know what that recipe is, and it's like, well, to me, at least, that's something that I prioritize, like the highest in the beginning, besides your main gems. Is it the same for you, Matt? That's essentially what you're going for? And how do we get the message out to people on, how to get all the Paragon levels and how to power up as fast as possible?
Augments are very important. I get this question a lot, especially from people that like to play solo cell phones. And I think this was the most common question when I played solo cell phones for a couple of seasons, and a lot of people in my community also did. And, was like this communal hangout. Everybody was playing by himself, but we still like, oh, look, I got this item. So it was a cute thing. And the most common question in that season, or in those seasons, is definitely, when do I augment? Is 90 okay? Is 95 okay? Is 100 okay? Do I, push it higher and higher, such that I get the augments higher before I actually augment them? Usually the solution is something like, the second you notice that your runs are getting significantly slower, so, 2 minutes 30 is fine, 3 minutes is fine, 3 minutes 30, that's also still acceptable. But once you're hitting those peaks where it's suddenly 5 minutes, or it's like 4 minutes 40, just take the augment at whatever state you are, if your build is finished at that point or in an acceptable state, and slam it on your best item. Just slam it. If it's a 95 gem, it's a 95 gem. If it's a 102 gem, it's a 102 gem. It should definitely be higher than 85, because most people, most builds are just capable of doing so in those times that you can run those tiers. And that augment will immediately help you. It will immediately speed you up. It gives you tankiness, it gives you damage, which means the next augment, you get there faster. And then on the next augment, you can do it higher. It will probably be like 2 to 3 tiers higher then. And so on. And it's a repeating process where the second you notice you slow down and the augment is ready to be slammed, pick an item, slam it. You're gonna override it anyways at some point. Or there's
I'm actually really surprised you put so much importance on augments, because I don't do that at all.
Really?
Yes. I don't really think that
Z-Bar life, right?
Well, it's not about Z-Bar, but just in general, I don't really feel the augments are that super impactful, especially early on when you're still gearing up. Because what matters are the items and playing the build correctly and these kind of things. And then the augments are just going to make everything a bit easier. You have very low main stats at that point. But, when you have only 5 augments and they're all level 90, then that will boost you by like maybe 2 tiers, and that's about it. So I think you overvalue it a bit.
But what are the augments else doing for you? Sitting in stash, looking pretty?
No, obviously it's nice to have them, but I don't really feel like they're just, I think you're putting too much emphasis on them, and you kind of build the expectation that they're just gonna make you blast through like 10 tiers higher or something. That's like kind of how it felt hearing this. And the truth is that they don't really do anything. So it's just the kind of like 2-3 tier buff and some toughness, and that's about it. So I think people might overestimate themselves after, I just need to get like a few augments and then I'm gonna blast so much higher, and that's definitely not true.
I mean, I understand where you're coming from. It's definitely not 10 tiers, right? It is not 10 tiers. What a question. But elsewise, then like you're leveling them to slam them.
Yeah, I mean, if you have them, if after leveling your main gems and you have these gems, and obviously you should use them. But I don't think you have to, super try hard to go for them as soon as possible. And it's definitely fine to keep it in your stash for a few more runs to try to boost it higher or wait for a slightly better item, so you don't waste your gems on crappy ancients.
I see where you're coming from, but at some point, so I understand like delaying augments to wait for better items, but at some point, you're waiting too long. When is that for you? Like if somebody comes into your chat and he's like, hey, I'm doing solo self-found, I didn't get my gems to 120 yet.
Yeah. I mean, in the end, it always comes down to like how hard is the item to find, how much do you plan on playing in the season. So for me, for example, I hate augments. I like what they're doing. I like that augments, reduce the impact of paragons and they make people more tanky. So this is stuff that we need. But I hate leveling augments because it's so slow, and especially when you play more than one build, it's just a drag. Like every single character, everything you want to push is like at least 20 hours or 30 hours of leveling augments. And I'm even not going for crazy augments. I do like my 115 augments, and everyone ridicules me because I push 150 solo with 115 augments. But this is what I do because I hate leveling augments. And this becomes even worse when you play multiple characters. So what I think is that you have to kind of like strike the balance. You have to like estimate when it's the time to augment the item. So if you get those pants and you're playing like an intelligence class, so you have your typical intelligence, vitality, armor pants, and they don't have a secondary res. It's fine. Just slam the augment, and maybe later on you get one that has physical res. You can do another augment when you have already augmented everything else. So this is okay. But if you get some gloves and they have like 8% crit chance, and you had to roll cooldown, and the other stat is life regen, then definitely don't augment that stuff. Just skip it and wait until you get something else, or use a non-ancient one that has actual stats. So these are the kind of calls that you need to make. And I think that's quite important, to not waste your augments, basically.
Yeah, I think there's an argument for starting with stuff like chest and pants, because it's unlikely. If you find an ancient one, how much further can you upgrade it? If you see what I mean. If you get it on a pants first, you might find a slightly better pair of pants, but it's not going to change anything. Whereas if you do it on something that's, cooldown, you're looking for crit, you're looking for a multiplicative roll on it. Almost like there's an argument that should go last, because you need to find a GG one.
Yeah, I think so. After listening to all of this, so to the person that has just come into your chat and asked the question and has literally heard all of this, they're like, wait, so when should I do it?
Right? Yes, exactly. Like, what's the takeaway now?
The takeaway is it's a very complicated decision.
Yes. But what is the easiest rule of thumb that doesn't make a person that listen in fail?
Okay, so the easiest rule of thumb, let's say, is like at least level 100. Don't augment twice. And try to go for the decent items first that they're not very likely to replace.
When do they notice that they are past the point and they should augment right now? Like, what's the threshold metric where you say, is it 4-minute runs? Is it 5-minute runs? What is the metric?
If your runs are more than 4 or 5 minutes, then yeah. I mean, some speed builds are actually rather slow. If you're like playing a Heavy Crusader, then your runs are going to be 4 minutes most likely anyway. So yeah, this kind of like comes down to which build you're playing. But something like 4 or 5 minutes is the maximum for augments, I'd say.
I can get behind that.
If you're experiencing runs that last at least 6 minutes, you need to see your augment doctor.
So that was. I
think Levy got interrupted. You were in the middle of saying, after listening to all of this, and then.
I mean, like, you guys basically got to where I wanted to get us to, which was like, what's the compromise between both positions, right? Because, and I don't want to over-explain it again, but you know, there is this idea of like, don't let items rot in your stash. Thinking of it from hardcore, though, there is kind of some
true.
necessity in actually waiting, because if you use something that's pretty valuable to you and then you rip it, then that sucks. But at the same time, it could also utilize it and then it actually saves you. So there's yet another, you know, complexity to throw in there. But I think you're right that like if you want rules of thumb, then you can go with the idea of like what GR 100 or rank 100 gems are fine, throw those on. You're going to replace them. You're going to get stronger. And that's ultimately what most players are looking for, is just how do I get stronger and when should I try to get stronger?
So one question I have to you specifically about hardcore, when you do like solo self on hardcore, do you level your first augment or your first augments first, or do you level backup gems first? What's the first thing
level
you
gem
do?
of East first.
Yeah, there's the answer.
You do Gem of East first, okay, and then afterwards, what's the takeaway? Like why and what decision?
So main gems, absolutely. And one more wrinkle to add in though is if conquests are important to you, sometimes other gems will take priority because say there's Avarice or Avaricia, which is the 50 million gold streak, suddenly Boon of the Hoarder is way more important to you. If there's the one I Can't Stop, which is leveling jumps to 65, then suddenly you're making, if both of those exist at the same time, it's actually really difficult because Boon of the Hoarder can only go to 50 and the requirement for the I Can't Stop conquest is getting to 65. So you're like, well, crap, what do I prioritize first? Anyways, that's for the people that love conquests like me. For hardcore, especially solo self-found, you need a Gem of Ease because there is no worse feeling in the world than dying before you've leveled that gem and you can't equip that level 1, you know, ancient furnace or whatever and just blast back to 70. Like, think about no Hadrig's gift leveling and stuff. Like, obviously you'll have some backups, but you can't use them yet, and it's just so brutal. So yeah, I would say main gems, Gem of Ease, backup gems, then augments. Like, you can delay your augments for a long time, especially with the power of the classes now. You'll be speeding 90s without them anyways, and get to 100s.
So it was like, yeah, a tremendous perspective from Leviathan. Some things I wouldn't have thought about for leveling up gems on hardcore. For going back to the augments thing for a second, I guess I kind of side a little bit more with sVr on them being important. And it's not necessarily because they give you a tremendous power boost. I mean, like Woody said, it's way better to level up your main gems. It's way better to get the correct gear. I mean, that's way better than an augment by far. The approach that I take is, especially, you know, for the casual players who may never complete a 100, we say, okay, augment at 100, it's fine. Well, there's a shitload of people that'll never even do a 100, you know. So what about them? The strategy that I follow is you're obviously trying to get your gear and you're leveling up your gems. Then what are you going to do other than level up Aux? Yes, you need to get all of the gems that you might use, like Boon of the Hoarder to 25 and Ice Blink and Toxin if you're going to make a support class. But what else are you going to do? And when we're talking about, you know, when we see like that something reaches 4 minutes or 5 minutes that you need to aug, well, the first thing that I would tell you to do is you're doing a Greater Rift that's too high. I don't know if you need an aug. I think you need to turn the Greater Rift down because you need to be blasting and, you know, efficiently farming instead. And what the augments will do, as Woody pointed out, is it'll let you creep up that level. If you're doing GR 60 in 2 minutes, you just aug some stuff. Now you're doing a 62, and now you're doing a 64, and, you know, little by little, that's going to give you more loot and more XP. If you're a casual and you can't reach GR 100, I would say, you know, when your augment gems are getting close to your main gems, if you're doing a 70 and that's all you can do, and your augments are getting close to 70, then you can just fire them then. Because as Woody pointed out earlier, it's not that hard just to blast a bunch of Greater Rifts very quickly. Even if you're a casual player, you can turn the difficulty down and you can level up another gem if you need another augment later. But I think especially for the casual players, when they get, you know, their core pieces and, you know, maybe they're still kind of struggling, I think augments are the next best thing after main gems to actually power you up.
Yeah, I tell people to do them early. You know, it's like compound interest, isn't it? Like the higher you can play it, the tires quicker, the more it just benefits you, and it makes builds easier to play. particularly for casuals, the toughness is a big factor. Especially for squishy stuff.
Right, and unless it's hardcore, as Leviathan pointed out, if you aug a gem, what have you lost? Nothing. You can get it back in 5 seconds, right? You can do an hour of blasting and get it back. You've essentially lost nothing, but you have gained something. I mean, something that you may actually notice helps you.
It's very interesting to see a different perspective, honestly, because for me, augments are always so precious. I'm always starved on augments, and I hate leveling them. And you're like, okay, just throw it on. I don't give a fuck.
I have like 2 seasons, 2 non-season steps just full with like 120.
I even have trouble on PTR just augmenting like 1 or 2 sets.
That's
because
crazy.
My non-season stash is not really like crazy. I have like 1 stash tab that is like filled with some gems, but
I have like 30 150 gems that I just slam every time on PTR.
Because for me, basically my farming stops as soon as I have my set of augments, and then I basically quit farming for the season, and I just farm T16 and bounties, and then I solo push at whatever paragon I have. So it's.
I mean, that's because you enjoy that one, and you enjoy styling on people. That's just you. Like, you enjoy to be that unique Da Vinci Picasso who does that stuff, right? You like it, and you like when people look at you this way, because it is cool. I like I'm always watching you when you're doing it, right? I'm always in chat in the first row memeing and enjoying it because it's cool, because nobody else does it. I think it's amazing. But you also enjoy yourself doing so, right? But there's nothing wrong with there's nothing wrong with going up to 5k Paragon, blasting like crazy, slamming 150 gems, and then going for rank 1. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that one. Like, a lot of people
if you like to farm rats,
a lot of people do, and most of them actually do. So, I mean, the ones that are competing on the high end. Obviously, you're different. What a question. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just interesting to see different point of views on this end. Yes.
I think augments can be quick. Like, obviously, I'm not end game player, not super tons of juice, but I think we were doing like level 100 augments in like an hour and 15 minutes on the God DH, including getting the keys. It's if you spend 4 or 5 hours doing that, it's gonna add some gas, isn't it? Particularly for second characters and stuff.
Absolutely.
No, it definitely. And so Woody, he outlines it. He gets the things that he needs, and then he starts solo pushing. But I would offer, if you did 3 days of rats, 3 days, and all you did was level augments in 2-minute runs, you would have an entire like half a tab full of augments, right? And then you could do whatever you wanted. It would only take you 3 days of 5 ups, 5 level ups, 5 level ups, and then you get them pretty quickly. But
I know what you're saying. It is either. I think this was like Woody did this like 150 Demon Hunter super early push attempt with like 5,000 keys, right? And he had like his chat farm keys with him and invite him and all that crazy stuff. It was like super interesting to see. But a lot of people were like, dude, just get 1k more Paragon. And we was like, nah, I don't need it. I know what I need for a Rift. And he enjoyed proving them, that specific point, because anybody else was going to like 3.5k, 4k before doing it, essentially. And it's cool. It's, styling over the leaderboards. It's a nice thing, right? It's cool to do because you know what you need and you said it's enough, and then you execute and you did it. That's really cool. But that's not the challenge for a lot of people. A lot of people have different goals. They go like, I want to continuously
I totally
grind
understand those different goals. So my goal is to be at the maximum that I can do with my character.
Sure.
So, or in that case, if the maximum is the 150 and I have a good chance of doing 150 with whatever, like X Paragon, I'll farm X Paragon and then I go.
And 7,000 keys, yeah.
And 7,000 keys.
Yeah, and have people invite you to collect keys so you get 500 keys per hour. Yes, exactly. That's like what the average Joe can do.
They just hop on their stream and have
don't forget to buy the cucumbers. So.
That's exactly. It's easy when you have 600 viewers that farm keys for you. Yes.
Easy clap.
So, Matt, on a scale from 1 to 10, how excited are you that Rats is still godly and still the king of XP?
0.5. So that's the thing. I actually like playing Rats, but what I don't like is that it hasn't been touched really, really hard. There has been like we've been saying for seasons like just give repass reps on ICG, just give repass reps on ICD, and then they did it, but also they changed Haunted Visions so that you don't need cooldown anymore, and like so many synergistic changes that it was suddenly still possible. So there was kind of, they tried to tackle it, but they also changed Haunted Visions, and then it was still possible, and then sad faces. I like playing it because in the last 2 seasons I didn't play them. Like I usually take a couple of seasons break from Rats. Like I played GOD. I love GOD runs, even though Rats were better. I always try to mix up the XP metas that we play in our groups. It's fun. Every single time we play new stuff, it's fun. So I actually haven't played the very new Rats iteration where you just click some lacquer once and that's it. So it's a slight change, but I still enjoy doing Rats once in a while. And this season will be the time. But after that season, I'll definitely, during PTR, make sure to stress out my opinion on getting them removed again.
Good luck.
Yeah, you've been trying for 1.5 years.
Yes.
2 years.
Yes. I mean, how do you feel, Woody? What is your opinion about Rats? Gonzo?
Yeah, well, the first time I ever played Rats was actually in season 20. And I was the Barb. And after we leveled to 70 and we started our first 2 runs, I was like, wait, that's it? This is what I do? This is my life?
Signing up for it again.
I was not prepared. Yeah, for basically just AFK, running through the rift and having everything die around me. And I believe that any meta where, I don't know, like this is by far the strongest meta. And on top of that, it's really monotonous. So I think, something that is the top meta by far, with such a huge advantage over everything else, it needs to be a little bit more sophisticated, in my opinion, than Rats. So that's the main gripe that I have of it. I like how it works together. I like the setup that, like basically the theory crafting behind it, that you have to land up to dead with the freezing, you have the globe spawn, you have the rats that blast with the singularity. So the overall idea is nice, but the gameplay is horrible, in my opinion. And just having the same meta over and over where, everything is frozen, everything is CC'd, you don't do anything. I think that is, it's not really great for the game in general. So that should be changed, mainly for these reasons, not because it's, something that is super terrible by itself, but yeah, it's just
Woody.
too much of the same thing and too simple, in my opinion.
Woody, I just had the funniest flashback. Do you remember? Do you remember when you and I were playing Wilson and you were like trying to make like the bow build work, and I'm like, I commit just bleeding edge 5-head, and I just kill everything. The same thing where you're like, Rats
exactly.
is so stupid.
Bleeding edge in Wilson, it was the same thing. I just press one button, everything dies.
Watching Woody stream, and he's like in a room like for like 5 minutes trying to clear it with like a bow build because he's just trying to make it work. And I like join his party and just mow the whole thing instantly. Just throw a bleeding edge. Like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to play with you anymore. I'm like, but bleeding edge, bro, it's so easy.
Yeah, I did that for like half an hour review, and then I just never invited anyone with that skill again.
That's how it feels when you play Keys against a monk on a different class.
I learned that Rats weren't for me. There was one season where I actually did play groups, and we were doing off meta for forever. And someone was like, come on, just try Rats, just try it. So I made the Barb. And at that time, I was doing the Whirlwind version.
Oh, did you whirlwind into a wall and disappeared?
You remember this?
Oh my god, that was so funny.
I did it for 1 hour, and at the end of this hour, we incurred a bug which I've never seen and never been able to replicate. Where, as Gar just said, I was whirlwinding, the group was going fine, and suddenly my Barb just got removed from Diablo 3. Like I couldn't press any buttons. There were no skills on screen. It was ridiculous. I was like, I guess this is a sign from like God. I just shouldn't play Rats. Just go back to Soul.
Yes, that was really good. That was a really good clip. That clip is gone, right?
Unfortunately,
yeah, I had to trash all my clips as well. Thanks to DMCA.
Yeah, thanks Twitch.
Have you had a chance ever to run Rats? And if you have, what were they like?
No, this is going to be my first season. So yeah, one of the guys I'm grouping with wants to do it.
Nice.
I don't really want to build a DPS rat. I've done a lot of solo mages myself played a lot of Necro. So I'm going to do Xenak and then Z-Barb, and then just leech the XP. But yeah, I mean they look fast and look fun, so I'm not super burnt out obviously because I've never tried them. So
if you're a Barb, you're definitely leeching. But if you're the Xenak, you got to work.
Yes, you got to work hard on Xenak. You got to work really hard. Yeah. I mean, it will be super interesting, like 2 or 3 months from now, or a couple of weeks from now, to have Filthy on again and then ask him. It's like, So this was, and we should also do like podcast pictures before ads, after ads.
Yeah. I guess it's like when a president goes in and after the 4 years of being the president, how they like age crazy.
Yes, exactly. It'll be interesting to see.
Beard that's not trimmed at all.
Yeah, that'll be me in 3-4 weeks then. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. I'll be interesting to hear your thoughts of that.
He's gonna be like, "Oh, also you need to update my my tags now. I'm Filthy Meta Player instead of Filthy Casual."
Filthy Meta, let's go. Yes, that's good.
Yeah.
So one more quick question on this topic. We've been going long, but there's nothing wrong with that. Specifically, I'd like to start with Leviathan to get his insights on this. How to transition playing multiple classes, especially in hardcore, especially as SSF. It's certainly much easier in groups, and certainly, hey bro, can you power level me and stuff like that, and you can be trading all the time. Do you have any? Because I know, like in a lot of seasons in the past, you pushed like multiple classes, right? So how do you balance all of that, and what are the secrets that you can share with us?
Yeah. So one thing that we touched on already was the amazingness of the Gem of Ease, because that'll just help you get a character off the ground very quickly. The main thing to do, and I find that a lot of players who come to ask me about how to, transition to a different character, is to not give up on your first character. Because some people start the season, they say, "Oh, I heard the rage about Necro. I'm going to try the Bone Spear stuff." They try it, they hate it, and they're like, "All right, I'm going to switch." But the idea is that you want your first character to be strong enough to support anything that you do in the future. So you should stick with that crappy Necro if you don't like it, and utilize that to get you blood shards, crafting materials, etc. So that when you go to level, now you're monk and you want to really do POJ, you can utilize the Necro, get a bunch of blood shards, go to the monk, spend those blood shards. And this is why we want that quality of life change, where at Kadala there's a drop-down menu, and you can just say gamble as a monk and get awesome stuff really quickly, because you're going to be on that Necro, and obviously you're getting Necro gear, but the whole idea is that you're funneling all resources generated by the Necro for your next class that you'll play. And you can, exchange the names for any class. Start with a DH. You want to transition to a monk. Nice part about that is you share a dexterity, so at least like if you get a ring or an amulet or something, it can transition right over to the monk. So that's like the main thing, I think, with solo in particular is, no one's going to be throwing you gear. You can't find it on the class that you're playing, but you still want to have that like first class. It's almost like your starter class, and then you can bridge gaps from there to create anything else.
Cool. Awesome. So I play most of the classes every season. Like a couple of things that's bringing to my mind about gearing up second characters is the convert item recipe in the cube's really handy for powering a second setup. So certain things, like some classes got really low shoulders, so there's not many in the pool. So you can just roll like 6 pairs of shoulders and then just convert everything, and you can get your set like much faster rather than painstakingly going through helms, gloves, boots. And I think a flexible T16 build that gets you like loads of resources is pretty important as well.
Yeah, really good points there.
DBs, the whole thing.
And that's the other part to bring up too, is that you don't even need like Boku crazy ancient pieces in every slot for your next character, right? Like you just need to get it to a point where it's farmable. And you might, you're going to take a hit more than likely when you switch, because you've been working on your DH for a week or two. It's doing, speed farm GR 105s or something. And then you get this monk set up, but now you're speeding GR 90s, right? You've got all the main pieces, you've got your balance and such things in the cube. And yeah, it's going to not be as great, but it'll be better to be playing on it, even at that lower GR, just because now you're getting the class-specific gear, and you'll be able to gear it up on a faster curve than if you stayed on the DH and did the funnel strats.
Awesome. All right. That was a huge blast about a ton of things with seasonal leveling. We've got 2 more topics that we're going to cover on this podcast, and then we will call it a day.
Quick notice, since the next topic is Twitter questions, we do have a tweet out. Feel free to tweet at Danctuary and ask your questions. We'll answer them.
Exactly. So what we're going to talk about now is our goals, and then right after that, we're going to read all your juicy questions on Twitter. So make sure you get those in right now, and I'll be looking through them. So it's pretty much a simple question, and maybe we can start with Mr. Wudijo. What are your goals for this season? What are you going to be doing, and when it's all over, what do you hope to accomplish?
Well, first of all, I need 5,000 keys per class. No, but seriously, so we're gonna start as a red group, and I'm gonna be the barb. So I'll probably do some just for fun, casual bar pushing at the start, the first weekend or so, when there's like an hour of time before sleep or so. And well, my main is gonna be Necro, so I'm gonna be pushing Bone Spear as crazy as I usually do my main push in the season. And afterwards, I will probably go for a few other builds and do them maybe without augments and not super crazy optimized. But I really want to play the Shenlong again with Tempest Rush. That's really fun. I might try the Liliana too. I might try some try-hard zombie bears. And I definitely want to do the Archon's Thorns. So there's going to be a couple of things on the menu for me that, will be quite fun. But yeah, the main push is the Bone Spear. I want to do something like 140 or so in the first week, and then like a higher push, like 145 or even all the way up to 150, depending on how realistic that is with like 3K Paragon. So maybe I will end up somewhere at like 146, I guess, or 148 with 3K. But yeah, this is my goal, I guess.
And what about you, Matt? What are the goals? How long are you going to play in the season? That's another question.
Yeah, I'm known to only blast at the beginning a bit and then make like a reappearance for PTR usually, and give a lot of in-depth PTR feedback.
But we need to grind those augments.
Yeah. So my goals really are just having a lot of fun and a good time with friends. I'm grouping with Woody and Rob Nova. We're good friends. We've been playing for a long time. We've known each other for a very, very long time. And we've grouped for multiple seasons. And it's always a blast playing with those guys, and it's so much fun. So I'll just enjoy that to the utmost. I took vacation, so I'll have plenty of time to just disconnect. I know it sounds crazy, but to me this is like really like the Monday after, like, playing for like 7, 8, 9 days. In that time frame, I can like completely disconnect from everything. Like it is really relaxing to hang out with friends continuously, and then talk with chat a lot and help chat a lot. I feel relieved, and I come back to work really relaxed. So this is what I do. The days where I use all the resources that I usually farm and then go ham at the leaderboards are way past me. Like last time I did this was like season 14 or so. My last rank 1 at the end of the season was in season 7. Like that was my very last rank 1 as a solo push. Those days are simply over. I've enjoyed those days, what a question. I've been playing way more consistent and over the entirety of a season. But nowadays it's really just, I know everyone is coming together. I know Rob is taking vacation. I know people, a lot of old friends show up, and we have like spots to fill sometimes because, for instance, Woody has to work normally. So we'll rotate in other old friends that we've played with over the last couple of years. So it's just everybody is, there to play and meeting those people again. That's the thing. That's the thing for me for Diablo. It's really not the only pushing that I need is the one when I'm watching Woody do his crazy stuff and cheer him on, and that's about it, because I enjoy that one. But doing it myself is not really gonna happen anymore. I will, like, after the first couple of days afterwards, there's this project called Maxroll that is taking a lot of time, and I'll invest a lot of time into that one to do something good for the community. There's also Danctuary.
Don't forget our 150 actually, the format that you wanna do.
Really?
So
yeah.
I guess this is our push for you.
I guess. So. But I will do nothing with the gems that I get from it and so on. So I will not put those into the test that,
we're still waiting for that wizard push.
Yes.
Reverse Archon.
Maybe we do some wizard stuff, but I don't think so. I'll invest the time instead of playing into doing some community stuff, which is Danctuary and Maxroll. That's it.
What about you, Levy? What's coming next season?
All right. So, like I mentioned at the top of the episode, it's been a big break from Diablo for me. So I'm looking in earnest to get back this season and going to try to do some things that might be crazy. So with kind of looking like we're going back into lockdown with coronavirus, second wave and such, I think I'll have a lot of time. And I'm going to throw this out there, even though I know it's going to sound crazy. I think I want to get Solo Self-Found Hardcore Paragon 5000. And I got 4,000 and like 48 in season 20, and that was one hell of a grind. But the thing that I'm considering is that speed farming is stronger in this coming season because God didn't exist previously, and I did it on POJ Monk, which was really good. I think it's speed farm better this season. Season's going to be longer because they just said they are now. And I should have similar time, maybe more time. So I'm going to try it.
Yeah,
Did they say that the seasons are going to be longer now?
Yeah, because they have the built-in time after PTR, right? They're like, we want there to be more time for us to like react to bugs and fix things. So just by the nature of the fact that PTRs are 2 weeks, but then they want time after PTR, then they can't give us the 2-week warning like right at the end of PTR. So that'll at least be somewhat longer.
It depends on when the PTR starts, I guess. So if they
That's
start PTR earlier, then it's the same.
That's true.
I guess it was just 3 months.
No, I gotcha, and that might be exactly it. I just wondered if they actually made an announcement the seasons are going to be longer.
Although, so they didn't say that specifically. Yeah. I guess you're right. I assumed that they would be if PTR starts at the. It's basically going off of the fact that there's like more time with PTR and such.
Real question is,
it makes sense.
When was the last time we had a suddenly early PTR?
Right.
I mean, there's hope.
There's hope. I mean, Woody is right. There is a chance.
It's gonna fix Wizard finally. There's no more Death Wish. Hydra is gonna be good. And
okay, now he's dreaming. Now
somebody collect Woody again.
No more reverse Archon build.
Yes, please. Yes. Well, and meanwhile, Demon Hunter is still one click button. Demon Hunter go brrr with God.
Easy. Feels bad, man. Demon Hunter, the class that had 7 different builds in 3 tiers of each other back in the day, and now we're like, God. I mean, God is nice, but it's so far beyond everything else. That's
it's Rapid Fire's fault, man. As soon as we got that LOD Rapid Fire,
true,
worst.
Yeah, it's not a LOD Rapid Fire exactly. It was maybe better than everything else, and then we had. It was good to be relieved of Rapid Fire. But I just feel like I don't want to stick with 4 seasons of God if I'm gonna play the Age. So
I remember in season 8 or 9 or something checking solo Demon Hunter leaderboards and looking at the top 6, and there were 5 different builds. I'm like, what the heck is happening? Like what the heck? Everybody is doing something else and it works. That's crazy. Balance. That was really good.
Yeah, Nirvana.
Well, that is an ambitious goal, man. If you hit 5K solo
5K
self-found,
is crazy, man.
Especially if they don't delay the season 5 million months, that would be big. So I wish you luck, dude.
Thanks, man.
Filthy, what's coming next season? So, what are your goals?
Is this like an anti-up thing? Have I got to say 6K Paragon now?
that's what I was expecting.
The filthy meta incoming.
Yeah, rats. Yeah, 6K Paragon rank 1. Yeah, we'll do.
Go for it.
Yes. No, I don't think so. I've never done 2K in a season, so yeah, play all 7 classes, 2K Paragon. If we get on the boards with something, just flat top 1,000 in some of the classes, I'll be quite happy with that. And I think hardcore, I'll do Wisdom Witch Doctor, and I'll maybe try for top 250, something like that. Just chill out, play all the builds,
hang out with the stream. Play all exactly.
Yeah,
I totally dig that nowadays.
No, it sounds amazing, and my answer is probably going to be something similar to Matt. I'm not going to quit. I'll keep blasting all the time. But the real important thing for me nowadays is the community stuff. I've done the grinds to 5K before. I've done the pushing the leaderboards before. I really want people to enjoy the game. I really want people to feel like they have friends that they can play with, and people they can talk to. I'll be doing a lot of community stuff, especially on the weekends. Would love to have as many of the content creators come in there with me and just help people, and just want people to enjoy the game, because I think the strength of the community is going to have now is going to have a big impact on the community for Diablo Immortal, which some people I know consider a meme, and Diablo 4. So that's probably going to be where I put most of my focus probably for the rest of Diablo 3's life, unless they bring back the static charge monk. Then I'll probably go ham, because that was fun. That was fun. All right, guys, it's that time. Now let's answer all the juicy questions from Twitter, and we have a lot of them, and there are some really good ones here. So I'm just going to pick on people to help out here. So maybe I can ask Woody this one from Seattle Witch. She asks, for team play, I'll be maining a support character for most of season 22, but I'm going to be starting a DPS character to getting to 70. When is the optimal time to make and level the support character?
Well, basically as soon as possible. So in a group, you always want to have at least one support. You want to have the Oculus rings, you want to have some grouping, you want to have maybe some buffs. So you basically always want to have a support in a group, no matter what. So basically, as soon as you're 70, you have a headache gift maybe, then try to get up, try to stack up the most important items for whatever support you're going to play. So if it's a barb, try to get the belts with the Warcry and Ignore Pain. And as a Demon Hunter, you don't really need much. So yeah, you can basically just get going depending on which class you're actually playing a support on quite easily. So try to get your gems to 25, I guess, the Toxin, Ice Blink, and Gogok, and you should be fine.
Okay, so for Mr. Filthy Casual, Cower asks, do you think leveling 1 to 70 is a justified necessity or an unavoidable evil?
Just get rid of the level.
Anybody can weigh in on it.
I mean, like for casual players, I guess the game seems like how do I phrase this? It's more like a traditional ARPG. You know, if you don't do any of these crazy leveling strategies, then it feels much more like a normal ARPG. As in, like you find stuff that's got like 5% upgrades, 10% upgrades, 20%. You know, you're not constantly doing multipliers on top. But yeah, I mean, you know, you scale your time like what 1 to 70 is like 2 hours, maybe 1 hour, and then you spend 300 hours in the season. So, you know, there is an argument for just pressing the skip button, I suppose. But
I think the leveling is quite important
Yes.
to have kind of like the feeling that you're starting something new. You're not just jumping straight into the end game, even though this is like what they're gonna do most of the time. I think it's nice to have this other aspect of the game because it's different and the pacing is very different. The gameplay is different, and even if you don't like it, you know, I personally don't enjoy leveling too much either most of the time. But on the other hand, it's so special that it's good to have, I think.
Honestly, I wish it. Oh, go ahead, Asher.
To me, I think the core concept for me that that ARPGs have for most people is when content at the current state suddenly while you're playing is hard, it is challenging for you, which is a good thing. And then you find this one item or you unlock this one skill, and then suddenly it eases up significantly. So you just feel the gradient of your progress. You just feel the immediate impact of something that happened, whatever it is, that made you feel stronger, and you are stronger. And that feeling is amazing. It's holy in ARPGs. Woody had this, like he explained like a couple of minutes ago, like first time he played Reds, season 20, went on Barb, got Earth level, whatever. This is it. This is my life now. Because from now on, every increase in tiers is so small and so like it's just so many incremental increases that over the entirety of the season.
Exactly,
yeah, you will do higher, but it has absolutely no impact on whatever you're doing. It's like, yes, you're fighting higher content and higher numbers, but on day one, you started what you're gonna do until like day 120 before you then finally start switching to end push. So to me, it's not only a necessity, it's a good thing. It's an amazing thing because player progression is holy, and that's what keeps a lot of people coming back. And also me, I probably would dislike the season way less, dislike the season way more if we would start at level 70 and would have Hedric's gift for free. I wouldn't like that.
Yeah, really well said. And I want to kind of take the extreme example. And I would say I wish for the days where it was like seasons 1, 2, and 3, maybe where we didn't even have Hadrig's gift.
Yes.
The progression was so much slower, but you appreciated the upgrades way more because suddenly, oh man, I got this random bow. And you may never use that bow again, but for, you know, the 10 hours before you get your Yangs or something, it's going to feel amazing. You're using a Crider shot and it actually works.
I really love grinding the way through the torments one by one and trying to reach torment 6. So it was amazing, actually. I loved it.
Just to add on top of that one, like the the significant, but the really, really, really significant part for me on this end is making the jump to Torment 1 when you're level 70. Like, you very often have no multiplayers, nothing, but you really want to do at least Torment 1, because Torment 1 is the first stage at what class-specific sets can drop. When it's real business, right? So you, by any means, you're really, really, really trying to get Torment 1 done in some magical way. And once you are at the point, it feels amazing, and it's like, all right, every single chest you click on it, right? Later on, you ignore chests, but you click on every single chest because there is this slight chance that now it's a set drop that you actually want to have. And it's like, all right, I have this two piece. You're collecting, you see like everything moving, and you're like, all right, I know what I need to do. And that's an amazing feeling. And Hedrix unfortunately short circuits the entirety of this. And that's why I don't like Hedrix.
The one way to replicate it, I have had a couple seasons where I played solo, but I also switched modes. And since you only get one Hedrix gift, you go from hardcore to softcore, and suddenly that softcore character has no benefits at all. So you kind of get some of that old school feel.
If you enjoy that, a good start every season. I've done this the last 3 seasons solo. Is you just build Legacy of Dreams, get to 70, just take the gem, and then you build whatever the game gives you.
That's a recent thing. Yeah, that's a recent thing. After it's funny that LOD is like the obvious solution nowadays, but before it was like even harder to do, even harder to progress. So that's kind of a downside of LOD that I never really considered. But it gives you like an easy way out, obviously, to progress now.
I need to play a season where I play only LOD and I kind of ban the meta choices and then just make some wonky builds.
Well, that'd be a fun one.
I think that would be hilarious.
So the last thing that I would add, which kind of I think was sprinkled upon by pretty much everybody, is I think that the leveling part, the 1 to 70, is one of the most fun times of the whole season. That's where I have the most fun. So if it got taken away, I think a lot of people would be really sad, because I think a lot of people enjoy it. Yeah, if it's really tedious and you're by yourself and you don't know all the tricks and it takes forever and everybody else is blasting, I'm sure it doesn't feel good here. But that's why we have this lovely podcast to tell you all the secrets.
Yeah. Plus, Debussy would be absolutely crushed.
Yeah,
30 minutes.
Djibouti wouldn't survive. We'd have at least one casualty. So, Mr. Matthew, Night Mode asks, his question is normally when he starts a season, him and his friends level quite fast, they gear quite quickly, and they get to Paragon 800 or 1,000, and they seem to get to a spot where their gear can't seem to get better, and they're wondering what they should do next to progress. What would you advise for Night Mode?
It's totally fine to have the feeling of, is there any point of continuing? I don't think like you need to pressure further and try to find a thing that makes fun to you. If it just doesn't make fun at some point and you don't have the motivation, then it's your free time after all, right? You use your free time to disconnect and be a happy person, right? It's the me time, right? So if that means install PoE, then it is install PoE. If that means go with the dog more to the park, then that's it, right? But yeah, if you finish, like, we always have this joke in our groups. The second we hit Paragon 800, somebody's saying, all right, now the season started. Because now every point of main stat is business. That's how it is. Character is essentially done, and now it's just grinding Paragon. The obvious thing as an answer is, yeah, you get a meta XP group, and then you grind to grind faster, and then you grind more to grind even faster. And at some point, you farm 3,000 keys, and then you try your luck. Or try your skill. That's not something for everyone. If that doesn't sound pleasant to you, then you don't need to participate. It's fine to maybe watch somebody do it, like I do. I watch Woody do it, and I enjoy it. But participating myself, not gonna happen anymore. And I think it's fine for you if you just want to do something else. It's totally, you had a good weekend to start with your friends. That sounds amazing to me.
And honestly, you might see more of that this time around with the close density of Season 22 in Shadowlands.
Shadowlands is when? Next week?
Yeah, 23rd.
Week after, I see. Yep.
So yeah, it's going to be crazy. So Mr. Leviathan, Child of the Lake, asks, I'm really curious what are going to be our starter classes for Season 22 and why? Is it based on level up speed and quality? Are you aiming to go for a particular endgame meta? Maybe we can quickly go around starting with Leviathan. What are you starting as and why is that your choice?
So for me specifically, I'm starting with Demon Hunter. It's my most comfortable start. I've been doing it now for like too many seasons, really. But I know essentially everything that I'm going to encounter as a Demon Hunter. So, with the hardcore aspect as well, there's just a lot of comfort in leveling that way. And the other side is that I made the transition. I used to level any class at the beginning when I was fascinated with Crusader. A couple of my first seasons I did Crusader. But I care about the conquests and I care about high rankings on the conquest. So specifically for me, Demon Hunter is by far one of the best classes at getting to that. They're slow to 70 and compared to a lot of other situations, but they blast at 70 once they get that set going, no matter what set it is really. So you can usually get some kind of rank 1, rank 2, rank 3 on the conquest. So for me, that's it.
Okay. Filthy, what are you starting as and why?
Necro. Yeah, Bone Spear. It's like I play Necro the most, my favorite class. So obviously, with it being the arguably best build in the game next season, definitely want to do that. And I'm hoping we can group with some viewers and chuck out any haunted visions we find. We'll have an outreach program. Anyone who needs one, come by. We'll see what we can do.
That's so cool.
And Woody and Matt, you guys are starting together. You guys blasting the rat groups.
Yeah, I'm sentenced to playing the barb because I have to work. So yeah, else I hope I get fed with some Bone Spear items after our initial pushes, because then I can just go straight from the barb to the rank 1 necro. Yes. But that's gonna be the strategy, I guess.
See, you don't need to farm more than 13 augments then, because you don't need to augment red DPS.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, I can just go straight blast with the first augments. Yeah, it's gonna be nice.
Okay, yeah, and I'll be starting Necro, going for rats as well. Must have Gons. Rax want Gons. So
how many are you going for this time? 5K again, I guess. Should be not that crazy. Yeah?
The thing is I could easily go for something like 6K and just go full ham. The problem is I would like to defer some of my focus to helping people in the community. And if I've been like last season, I did that on Saturday and Sunday. So if I lose 2 days out of the week, then 6K becomes a lot harder. But I think it's more valuable than just putting a 6 in front of me.
What's your non-season paragon now?
7,500 and something.
All right, sure.
Yeah, I did the math. It's going to take several more seasons of Paragon 5,000 to hit to 10,000.
I was wondering how close you are, but man, it's crazy.
I mean,
you're still good You're still good until D4.
I might try for it. I might try to hit 10,000, but that might.
You will, I think. Yeah. You will. I mean, this season is another 5K. Like, we're gonna see the first 5K after like three weeks in the season or so. So you're easily gonna get your 5K yourself, and like the next season is probably gonna be equally good. And I mean, the XP meta doesn't really go down, right? So you're always gonna get your 5K. So.
Well, I mean, rats are gonna live forever, right? We can determine that. So as long as.
But even if they don't, we're most likely gonna get almost the same XP anyway. So.
Yeah, Bone Spear can still get it done. Jackson Stanton asks, do you think this coming season will entice people to play longer than last season? It seemed like last season a lot of people left very quickly. So I think Matt was one of those people that I think disappeared instantly. Do you think this season is going to be better?
I don't see a single reason why it would be different for me personally, or for the community overall. I think Diablo is just one of those games, at least Diablo 3 nowadays, where really it's just about the seasonal start. You get your 800, 900, 1,200, 1,500, whatever it is for some people, hang out with friends, and that's kind of it. Check out the season theme, check out the new items. Obviously, we're not getting large, significant content upgrades with system changes like other RPGs do, right? So in terms of longevity, people still return and they play for a couple of dates. I don't see why it should be any different for this patch. On top of that, we have Shadowlands. It's coming out in 1 week later, as we already stated. And a lot of people also like to play WoW. Even a lot of us content creators do. So we'll even see streamers switch from D3 to Shadowlands. It's gonna happen. So overall, I don't see a reason why more players should play for a longer time in this specific season. How do you guys feel about that one?
Strong disagree.
Okay.
All right.
Gotcha.
I think it's circumstantial that you probably will be right because of the other things outside of D3, though. Cyberpunk is coming, Shadowlands is coming. So I think there's going to be tons of things that pry people's attention away from D3. However, I do think that this theme has been categorically better received by the community than last season's theme. And I think if it were the same set of circumstances, same set of months with a dearth of releases and such, I think you would have more people, even though the retention always does fall off, 100% agree there. I think you'd actually have more people stay in this season longer, mainly because people, no matter if you hate the Shadow clones, people really, for whatever reason, just like that fourth canonized cube slot. They feel like they get some ability to tinker and mess around more. Maybe their builds feel slightly different. And so I think just that by itself, like I'm thinking back to the seasons of Free Lawn, Free Ring of Royal Grandeur. Those are really popular seasons. Just even though they didn't change a ton, they weren't the most robust seasonal themes. They just did a lot more for players to, I don't know, feel more engaged. And I really do think it comes down to the environmental themes aren't as well received by the community.
Yeah, we had a podcast about that one, like I think episode 2, when we specifically went in depth on. It was also with Woody and Levy, right? Yeah, it was with you guys where we discussed this specific topic, environmental themes, and then the build-changing theory crafting themes, right? Funny enough that you mentioned it, because I would have asked you immediately as a follow-up, so what if the 4th cube slot would have not been the case? Would your opinion change? And you already answered that one, so...
I think this will probably be the best season, like for a while, but it probably won't be the busiest. And I think that's, I'm with Leviathan on this. I think the cube's great, the season theme, the environmental stuff's nice as well for people who like that. But there's just too much else going on in video game world, basically.
I forgot Cyberpunk, man. Yeah, Cyberpunk.
Well, I only know the other 3.
Yeah, easy.
So, the Nila asks, and we may need some help from Mr. Wudijo and Mr. Leviathan on this one, who are Demon Hunter experts. I'll be leveling up with my son, who is a casual, and he wants to play the Demon Hunter, but he does not enjoy playing Impale. What other speed build would you recommend for him while leveling up, while playing with his dad, I assume?
Well, first of all, I'd say try the dagger to get the Lord Greenstone. It's a 50-50, so you can go Fan of Knives, you can do like a big nuke, and he might enjoy that a lot. And if you don't want to do this at all, I mean, what usually works pretty well when you don't have any of this is sentries. I really like sentries when I play with like just 1-70 as a Demon Hunter. They do a lot of work, and also spike traps. So spike traps are actually a very good skill by leveling. Now, that's not even a meme. It's a very strong skill, and you can kind of like set up the sentries, make a pull, put some spike traps, blow them up, and that works pretty well as well if you don't have any of the fancy like legendary items. So
I thought you were just pushing your spike traps agenda.
Yes.
I mean, I will do that again, but not today. This is actual legit leveling.
That's awesome. I would just make I think that's all awesome advice. I would make one case for just the standard chakram. You only get to use it really when you level, and beyond then no one cares about that skill.
Twin chakra might be a thing as well if you just want to like hold down a button and kill stuff. I guess you can do that.
Man,
and also I guess the aspect. Sorry, real quick, the aspect of playing with someone else too. So he's playing with his dad, or the son is playing with the dad. Also throwing in things that help support, like it takes a while to get Wolf. Wolf is like 59, but any other companions you can throw those on to help out and like that group synergy. Like Wudijo's mentioning, sentries are nice too because they have some party effects as well. So definitely agree there.
Funny, when you started reading the tweet, I was thinking like it was something like a cry out like help me, my son is a casual, but then it actually made sense afterwards. I was like, where's this going? Hello? And I was like, oh, I see. Okay, it makes sense now.
All right, I'll limit it to 3 more questions, guys. There's so many great questions here, and I appreciate everybody asking us. Maybe we can go on the Twitter later and answer them, but let's get 3 more in here. So Rasho Monk says, when you're leveling in a 4-man group, what are the red flags or green lights for changing the difficulty? For example, when you're leveling with 3 Necros and 1 Barb, the first Necro gets his level 70 weapon at 42, but he has Raylena's in the cube, and it's not quite enough to carry the whole party. I know Woody just wrote a guide on leveling up. How do you determine what difficulty you should be playing on when you're leveling up in a group?
Well, the easiest is make sure that you have a difficulty where you run a very low risk of dying, even if you mess up a little bit. So you want to blast stuff in a few seconds with your typical attacks. So for Necros, that would be Pulse Explosion. If you need more than 2 or 3 Pulse Explosions on a tougher enemy, then your difficulty is too high. So these are you want to kill stuff really quickly. You want to get big massacres. You want to blast through those cursed chests. You don't want to die all the time and lose all the XP. That's it. Basically, just make sure you kill stuff quickly.
It's perfect. So Doll asks, when you guys are not playing Diablo, what other hobbies do you have? So maybe we can start with Mr. Filthy. What do you do outside of Diablo for fun?
I love football, soccer in the US. So yeah, big Liverpool fan. So yeah, I work in football, so watch it all the time. So yeah, scream at the TV, shout, jump up and down. Pretty good. Yeah, crazy.
Awesome. What about you, Levy?
So when the weather is nice, right now we're going into winter. I like to go out and run. I like to try to stay a little active with that. I also enjoy sports as well, like FilthyCasual. Right now it's football season, and my Cowboys absolutely suck, so I've stopped watching. I get more time to blast. I'm just trying to find the positives.
Yes,
I don't get distracted. Yeah, exactly. And honestly, I still play other games too. Like when there are times where I don't enjoy the seasonal theme, or like it does happen, burn out of D3. I'll try to find other stuff. And like I have you guys know it's crazy. Phone games are good, man. There are some good phone games. So I play like Fate Grand Order on the phone. I play some Hearthstone. Just try to mix it up.
Yeah. Matt, what about you? You play for 2 weeks and then you're out. Besides doing max roll and stuff like that, what other things do you do for fun?
So when I read for the questions, I hope you wouldn't pick this one because I'm a weirdo. Well, what do I do, huh? So definitely I play Diablo, right? And as some of you know, I'm a developer in my professional life. And developers tend to have a lot of like free time projects they work on, right? And usually it's something that you haven't done yet. For instance, learning Kotlin or learning a new language or something that is modern and new. And that is something that I used to do quite a lot a couple of years ago. I used to read newer books about newer like software development languages and just learn them, I guess, and see what's new, what's the good stuff, and do some smaller projects with them. In the recent years, I stopped doing that one because I wanted to be, since, it's the same at work, and you come home and you have a similar hobby. It's kind of weird, I guess, right? So in recent years, I started to invest, into streaming, do streaming for free time and fun. And then very recently, I really enjoyed doing community projects, right? So the initial one was the Prompt podcast at last BlizzCon, which was like the pilot episode for Danctuary podcast. And then I was like, oh my god, I really want to create a podcast. So that happened, and the next thing was Maxroll, and Maxroll's taking so much time that I don't think there's anything coming afterwards for quite some time. But just projects. I'm one of those guys that likes to create stuff that is different from what I do in my daily life, my daily business life. Just to be tackled from a different point of view and engage myself from a different point of view. That's about it.
That's awesome. So, Woody, I assume most of your time goes into growing the cucumbers in your garden?
Well, first of all, I don't have a garden yet, I guess. So the big mansion has to wait a little bit more.
But, Twitch millions!
The Twitch millions are flowing in, though. It's fine.
Yes.
No, but I mean, for me, I have to say I don't really have any hobbies these days. So for me, it's basically just work all day and night. Ever since I I started up my YouTube channel again in like February or so, and ever since I basically had no holidays, very little sleep, and just basically either blasting 15 hours a day streaming or doing YouTube content or working on Maxroll, all these kind of things.
The German.
These days,
this is the German efficiency.
I stopped playing other games entirely. I stopped reading. I stopped watching, basically, and like I'm not really spending any time on anything else. This is just the truth. And whenever I have some time, I'll spend it with my girlfriend. And this is also, you have to try to find time for this. And this also means that I can't really have any hobbies these days. So this is about it. But I do enjoy what I'm doing. I do enjoy working towards becoming an actual full-time streamer, eventually quitting my job. And I might be getting close to that, actually. So at that point, I might open up some venues to do other things again and maybe sleep a bit more.
It's actually interesting that you didn't that you don't really consider streaming and all that is about streaming as a hobby. Like, you're definitely already at the point where you're so dedicated.
I did consider it as a hobby basically the first 4 or 5 years I was doing it. And then I had this break, and then I came back and I realized this is actually a path that I would enjoy pursuing at this point. And I started working towards that goal, and kickstarted my YouTube again, and then started blasting season 20, season 21, and Volson and whatever. And now we have to max roll. So we are reaching a point where I can do it, and I believe that with what the future holds, with the future games, that would be definitely great. So yeah, I do appreciate all the support I get. I have a lot of supporters. I have a lot of people that are here probably too, and just appreciative of everyone being there. So yeah, thank you all, and I hope I can make the dream come true, I guess. So,
but till then, no hobbies.
Yeah, basically no hobbies, no sleep. Yeah, that's my life right now.
Yeah, one thing for me that I don't do nearly as often anymore. I really used to enjoy playing the guitar. I used to play all the time. I used to be able to play it decently well. Now I'm trash. So those days are gone. One thing that I've always been very interested in is chess. I've always enjoyed chess since we had a school tournament when we were very young. I learned the game and went to that, and then went to the state tournaments. And it's nothing that I never pursued professionally, but I love to play chess. So if anybody wants to play, you go ahead and slide into those DMs. Let's play, especially if you play Bullet really fast. Let's play some games, and you can kick my ass and show me how it goes. Okay, final question. We'll take one from Kelly. Each of you are inspiring streamers. Thank you for all that you do. What would you say is your mantra that keeps you plugging into D3 every season? So maybe we can start with Leviathan. Why do you keep coming back for more?
Oh, I gotta go first. Shoot. It's multifaceted, but I think the thing for me is the reset. And that sounds kind of cheap because that is what a season is literally defined as, right? It's just like it's the beginning again. But I love just the sort of hope that goes into the beginning of a new season. It's like, what's gonna happen this time? What's the story that we're gonna spell out? Where will the deaths come from? With that hardcore aspect, it adds such a nice layer of like, all right, not every day is going to be the same, because this could be the day we rip and then I'll cry and, you guys get to see it live on stream. I think I enjoy sort of the camaraderie of, even if I'm playing solo, being able to engage with the community through the streams, through the Discords, the tweets, everything. The fun item finds, because you get to, search all over again. And yeah, just, hoping for potentially good leaderboard things and those conquest rankings and such. I think all that motivates me to come back.
Awesome. And Matt, I think you mentioned earlier a lot of it is to see all the old friends again and around the hype of the season. Is that what keeps you coming back for more? Why Diablo?
Yes, I mean, because those guys only return for Diablo, and that's it. Most of them, have kids by now. And they have a steady job, so they only return for that one. Like, that's just how it is, right? Another thing that really motivates me and keeps me going is people coming into my chat and asking good questions, right? Like, or being very interested in what the PTR has brought, how the actual mechanics work, right? And there's quite often when there's a question, it's like, we haven't really answered this yet, right? And then it's like 5 hours of testing, and then 10 spreadsheets later, it's like, so this is how it works. And the answer is no, you never use it. It's like, it's absolutely useless, but we know it now, right? We die smarter today, right? So I enjoy that quite a lot, and I'm always thankful for seeing like cheeky ideas or cheeky questions in chat about, things that nobody has really thought of, and it's like super, super enjoyable. It's like, seeing new stuff and learning new stuff about a game that you've put so many hours into. It's just amazing. And I just die for those moments.
I have to say, just in a moment of appreciation, I love SVR streams because you get what we like to call SVR explanations, where a lot of people come in for a short answer. It's like, yo, how does Stricken work? And this guy just will give you 20 minutes, which is 19 more minutes than you ever wanted. But it's great.
Yeah.
So, Woody, you said your whole life's Diablo. Why? Well, you've given up everything for it. Why?
Well, I mean, there are many reasons actually why I come back to every single season right now, and this is definitely, especially the new patches recently, they have been amazing. The new sets, I really like, trying to experiment with the new stuff. I like theory crafting, and I like pushing. So pushing is probably like the number one reason for me, and especially trying out and pushing those new setups to the maximum. That's, for example, also the reason why I played in Bone Spear Necro already in season 21, and I was pushing in like 141. And now I'm actually excited to do the real push with the real competition, because last season there was no one else playing Bone Spear. So that's gonna be great. And also I like this, like the whole community aspect, that there's like this rush where everyone starts playing, everyone is super hyped, all the people coming back. So it's a bit like what Matt is saying, with all the friends playing, and also like on stream I see all the old faces, and it's just amazing in that regard too. But I do enjoy the game on my own as well. So just blasting, just pushing to the maximum. And I guess by now it has kind of like become my trademark, doing like this crazy solo push every single season.
Yeah.
And this is also like another kind of like community event of my own, I guess, that I have. And I do enjoy that time the most, for sure.
I have an important follow-up question to Woody. Is there any, like, I know for anyone else in here, there's a moment where you hate the game. Like for Rex is when he sees a wall elite. For like everyone has this moment where he's like, oh my god, this is so garbage. Like I've rarely seen you have this moment, Woody. When is the moment when you have this, what the heck? This is so bad, this is so garbage. And don't tell me when I level a wizard.
No, this is
like when is Woody raging about the
I don't have
what
this
needs
at all.
to
So
happen?
When I get unlucky, or when something bad happens or so, it's basically all part of the calculation. So basically everything is laid out before the season already starts. I know exactly how long I need to farm. I know exactly when I will push. I know exactly what tier I will push, plus minus 1 or 2. So like everything's already laid out. I don't really need I don't need to worry about anything. I don't need to rage about anything. And if I get bad RNG, then this is just part of the calculation. That's about it. So I just go again, we just go again.
Just go again, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So 5,000 keys, let's go. I know.
We've confirmed that Woody can't get mad because he doesn't have emotions, because he's a robot.
Yes, exactly. That was the takeaway. Everything has been simulated. Outcome is great.
The positive emotions, like I'm happy to play and I'm happy to do these kind of things, and all the bad things just doesn't bother me, basically. So it's just expected,
I mean, see, guys,
I like that.
Everyone listening in, don't complain about RNG. It's just a matter of calculations. Just think about it this way. Just calculate with it.
Okay, Filthy, why D3? Why do you keep coming back for more?
I mean, I love ARPGs. I love video games in general, but ARPGs in particular. And it's just the smoothest. It's just like, even now, after how long it's been, the engine, the combat, just a 3-minute blasting the speed rifts and just getting the screen to explode and just running through it really quickly. Yeah, it's just super smooth. Like I've tried other RPGs and I can't seem to feel the same about them. Don't know what it is.
No, I hear you.
Some je ne sais quoi, I guess.
No, it makes sense. And for me, after, I've been playing the Diablo series since I was 14 years old. And especially since I started streaming, I would say the main thing that keeps me coming back is, I don't really view, the other streamers or the members of Maxroll or the viewers on my Twitch or on my YouTube as just that. I view them as my friends. I mean, I met Matt a long time ago. We've been really good friends for a long time. We worked together to make this podcast together and on a lot of stuff. I played a lot of games with Woody. I remember FilthyCasual and I started our YouTube at the same time, and he messaged me first on Twitter. We became good friends. Leviathan and I were blasting on the challenge rifts when I first started. I mean, these are things that I remember. I mean, when you're here every day, when you talk to everybody, it really starts to matter. And so, I play Diablo because it's where my friends are. So I don't really know what I would do if I didn't do it. So that's how it is for me. And 3 hours and 8 minutes later, I think we're going to call this a wrap, guys. So again, I want to thank Matt, sVr, Woody. I want to thank FilthyCasual. I want to thank Leviathan for their incredible input. I hope you guys all have an amazing season 22. We will be coming back. We're going to potentially try to come back on the 28th. Now, that might be ambitious because the season's going to be out for 1 week, and then there's Thanksgiving in the United States, and there's Black Friday, and there's Cyber Monday. So we're going to try to get an end game episode where we can get in here and get all the sweaty tryhards to talk about, how is the meta actually looking for 1 week. I'm sure there'll be some crazy things that happened. We're planning on the 28th. Let's see if it can happen. And if nothing else, we'll keep you guys posted on Twitter. And if there's nothing else, thank you guys. Thank you so much. And we're signing off here on the podcast.
Good night. Thanks for
Peace.
watching.
Thank you all. Goodbye.
See you.